Black Power, Brother Babu Omo. Welcome to our Political Prisoners Edition. Black Power, Brother Babu Omawali, Truth to Power War Room. Welcome to our Political Prisoners Edition. We understand that as activists and freedom fighters, that when we fight against the system, that they are going to do everything in their power to lock us up. And this is surrounding the politics that they're trying to protect. That's why we call our freedom fighters who have been wrongly incarcerated political prisoners, because we fight against this unjust system here in America. Freedom fighters are educated. We as a people tend to forget about these comrades. Like they say, out of sight, out of mind. We are very much wrong for doing this. We are very much wrong for forgetting about those people who stood on the front lines and us, and those people that represented us. So we can't say a lot about what happened before us, but we can start to make that change now to give our comrades who are incarcerated more political support, more support as far as commissary, for supporting them for the lawyers. Our people should never be forgotten. Work and represented the people. So I'm going to get right to it. We're going to bring in Brother Prince Najee, and I want him to tell his story about his recent incarceration and some of the reasons that he's been incarcerated in the past. Can we bring Brother Najee on?
Black Power.
And y'all have to bear with us, man. YouTube and is doing everything possible. They're doing everything possible not to make this program accessible to the people. So I fade in and I fade out. It's brothers. We're going to continue this show today. Brother Najee, are you there?
You hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you, brother.
Black Power.
Brother Najee, tell us your story. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Wow.
Go ahead, Brother Najee. So he can't hear us again. See, these are some of the difficulties that we're going to have, and I guess throughout this show, because it is so powerful. We have those that don't want us to be able to do this show because we are people. So let's see if we can brother, you might have to log out and come back in. I tell you what, let me call you.
Yes.
Peace, but I'm just going to ask you some questions from here.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and just keep your phone in your hand. You can tell us about your recent incarceration and why the pigs keep targeting you, as far as you understand.
Well, I know when we went down to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and then I was standing next to Attorney Barnett. And next thing, I noticed how the police started moving around. Then there was some sheriffs and stuff. But according to what I found out now, it was from a caper's warrant in Cleveland, Ohio. It was dealing with really family stuff, dealing with a house. And it was all chumped up and stuff. But we gotta understand that we dealing with stool pigeons. We dealing with sellouts. We dealing with rats. And now us as revolutionaries, we gotta flip the switch on the rat snitch. And it was indicated that they was told that I would be there. Then other reports that certain people were riding around taking pictures and then start saying crazy stuff on the internet. But we're gonna have to deal with these type of Judas Negroes and rats among us that the enemy, the open enemy, they're using informants to destroy black, uncompromising, progressive organizations here in the hills of North America. This is what we got to deal with. I work hard. You can't live a normal life in this country, working, paying your bills and stuff, or being part of an organization. Because the envy and jealous ones and the weak-hearted ones among us, we got black power.
Tell us about some of the political prisoners who you need that needs our support
And on
right
now.
now. You can hear me, brother?
Well, the political, yeah, it's on now. The political prisoners
Okay, good.
need our support. Yeah, the political prisoners need our support more now than any time since they've been political of us as a people here in the hills of North America. Uh, young brother Hannibal, I knew since he was 9 years old. He shouldn't be locked up. And one thing I've been trying to put out here, saying certain things, turning belief of other leaders. We can't be like our fathers of the 60s and 70s. They put their necks out on the line and they get locked down all these damn years. This is the time that we need to be smarter and wiser. We need an offshore compound, offshore accounts. We got to be very careful because long as the strong, progressive, uncompromising people like us, they're gonna target us. But we need a boogeyman, revolutionary apparatus to damn gonna answer this stuff. Our people should be snatched up, locked down, jail, bailing people out. No, we need to change that. We need an apparatus team that will go and get our people on that moment's notice. Black power.
How important is it for us as activists?
Hello? Sound. I don't hear nobody. Brother Bob?
what's going with our restream, man, but we're gonna fight through it the best we can. So we're gonna bring
Yes, sir.
General on the Black Riders Liberation Party. And I basically want you, if I fall off, man, you guys keep the dialogue open. Soon we're going to bring Sister Huwete on, who is the mother of Brother Rakim Balagoon's child, who is also a political prisoner at this time. So we're going to move forward with support of these political prisoners. So, engineer, if you could, can you please bring Brother Taco in?
Black power, black power. Black power, can you hear me out there? We good to go?
Yeah, I can't hear him, but tell him to go ahead and introduce himself and General.
Black power, can you hear me out there? Brother Najee? Black power, black power.
Brother Taco, can you hear me? Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Black,
Okay.
black power, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Black Power. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself while we go reset for these technical difficulties?
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Black power, black power. My name is General Taco. And I represent the Black Riders, which is a new generation Black Panther Party for self-defense. And we are honored to be on this powerful show today because we trying to free them all. All political prisoners must be free by any means necessary. Much respect and honor goes out to all the Panther formations and all the Panther leaders who came together to push this Black Defense Committee. It is so important that we as a people recognize and push for the freedom of political prisoners. Why is that important? It is key we understand as a Black people, we are faced with an emergency, a state of emergency. We are facing extermination. We are facing genocide. And as always, pushing armed self-defense, we say an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a head for a head, and a life for a life. It's either freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. So as we look into what's going on in racist America today, we see racist police terrorism. We see miseducation. We see tribalism going on in our communities. And we as Panther formations have came together to push the Black Defense Committee, which is dedicated to pushing the freedom of all political prisoners. Much respect and shout out to everybody involved and all the Black people who listening in today. Today, we stand on a monumental point in history where we must unite and not fall victim to the divide and conquer. We must gather today in large numbers and begin to educate ourselves on the knowledge of self. Why is that important? Because we as a people were bust upside the head, brought from Africa, brought over here to pick cotton for the racist demons so they can oppress us, exploit us. Now, we must look deep to find out how we can fight back, like Huey P. Newton said with the creation of the Black Panther Party for self-defense in 1966. Huey had recognized, Bobby Seale had recognized out in Oakland that there was a need to defy police terrorism and stand up for our people. So they decided to patrol the police openly armed with shotguns and M1s. That was very important to the creation of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. They will patrol these pigs openly armed, checking them, letting them know they can't just kill our people with impunity. It is necessary for us to recognize that the pigs are occupying army. They come down on our heads like race soldiers. They are tied to a whole military industrial complex, which is ran by the racist US government, which is ran by clowns like Rockefeller, the Morgans, and the big businessmen. Huey P. Newton had learned from Malcolm X. Power concedes nothing unless it is faced with more power. So, as Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale began to patrol the police, the evil racist government came down with COINTELPRO, which is counterintelligence program. A bunch of hideous, dirty tricks directly aimed from the racist US government down on our communities. But let's travel back in history and see how this COINTELPRO came into existence. It was J. Edgar Hoover in the early 1900s who created the FBI, who seen the threat coming from the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and especially his African Legion, which was dedicated to self-defense. It was a serious threat to white supremacy, a serious threat to capitalism. So they came up with these dirty tricks and began to send infiltrators, agent provocateurs into the UNIA in order to stop and neutralize the effectiveness of Marcus Garvey's campaign. Ultimately, they were successful. Why? Because there was always some agent, some clown who decided to work against his people and work for the enemy. COINTELPRO counterintelligence program was stolen from the British by the Americans. The British had recognized after going around the world colonizing and conquering that native people, indigenous people would rise up and create national liberation movements designed to bring about their total liberation. So they decided to counter these insurgencies with counterinsurgency tactics, using different methods of assassination, harassment, and total domination to control the land, the resources, and the labor of the people. So the Americans stole the idea and began to implement different methods of these same dirty tricks. So all throughout the 50s and the 60s, when the civil rights movement and Martin Luther King Jr. started pushing for desegregation, even though we totally disagree with integration, because there's no way the racist capitalist structure will ever allow our people to gain any upward social economic mobility. The masses of our people are kept unemployed to increase the value of those who are employed at a high level. They need a reserve labor force that's unemployed, and that's our people. One of the things we have to understand that the police come into our community because they have within themselves the fear of genetic annihilation. They're sent in to destroy our people, to contain us. So when they brought about COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover understood that there would be plenty of clowns, plenty of sellouts who would take the money and began to infiltrate different organizations. Not just organizations who stood for armed self-defense, but also organizations that even stood for nonviolence. Martin Luther King Jr., his SCLC group was infiltrated with informants. He was put on the COINTELPRO targeting. So we must understand what's really going on with this COINTELPRO. It moved on more than just those who picked up guns in self-defense and the push for the absolute liberation and salvation of the Black nation. Elijah Muhammad and Minister Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam was put on that list. One thing about that list, we'll notice two key things, which is they wanted to stop and prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. They wanted to stop and prevent the coalition of so-called Black hate groups. These are the two key points we should pay attention to now today as we struggle for freedom. Now today as we struggle for the absolute liberation and salvation of the Black nation. So political prisoners are very important because it comes from the COINTELPRO attacks to infiltrate and target the Black Panther Party. Once Huey P. Newton got involved in a shootout with the pigs in Oakland, one pig was shot dead and another pig was wounded. Huey was shot up, and at that point they created the Free Huey movement. This is when political prisoners began to be recognized by our people who struggle with consciousness and revolutionary ideology, who were targeted because of their political beliefs. So once Huey P. Newton went to jail for manslaughter in San Luis Obispo, he was faced with the Aryan Brotherhood. He was faced with the racist prison guards. He had no backup. So George Jackson, who had already been organized within the prison system, sent him bodyguards to guarantee he wasn't assassinated in that prison cell. So through mutual letters, Huey P. Newton and George Jackson developed a close relationship. George Jackson had came from Watts, coming out of Chicago. He had been arrested for $70 robbery. This $70 robbery landed him a 1 year to life sentence. Totally inhumane. So he moved from banging with the Capone gang and began to organize in jail, in the prison system. So he transformed many hoods like the Capone gang into the Wolf Pack, which ultimately became the Black Guerrilla family. Also, once he hooked up with Huey P. Newton, he became the field marshal of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. It is important we recognize that even those in prison, once they gain consciousness, once they begin to push revolutionary ideology, they too can become political prisoners. George Jackson and his comrades were targeted. Comrades like W.L. Nolan and others were put on a prison yard, and they were set up to be assassinated. W.L. Nolan was killed. He was George Jackson's mentor. They were put on a yard with racist Nazis. They was left to bleed out on the yard. So later on that week, a pig had got through off a tier in Soledad. They claimed George Jackson, Guido Drumgo, John Clutchett were allegedly guilty of killing the pig. So this developed the Soledad brothers case, and they began to push for their freedom against these hideous charges. So this is the essence of political prisoners, and it's key that we put for them today. So we say free Shango, we say free Grandmaster Jay, free Spike, free all political prisoners who dwell in the concentration camp. I'm gonna stop right there. Black Power.
Black Power, sir. Thank you for that. Brother Najee, can you hear me, brother? Najee, can you hear me? How about yourself, Taco? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't know what's going on with this restream. They do not want us to have this political prisoners party that we having today, but they're not going to be able to stop anything, brother. So let's talk from the perspective of President Trump came up with BIE, Black Identity Extremists. Can you explain that concept to the people? And brother Najee, I need you to probably log out and log back in because I still have a couple more questions that we want to get from you before you take your break. But can you explain the concept of where a Black identity extremist came from, especially with the fact that we have all these white supremacist extremists who are not being targeted in this country? Black Power. That's on you, brother Taco. Can you explain the concept of the BIE?
Well, the BIE came about primarily after the brutal murder of Michael Brown in St. Louis, when different people began to recognize that police terrorism was a major threat on our community. So when different people began to mobilize for the campaign for justice for Michael Brown, they began to see the Black Power movement growing in strength. Even though the Black Lives Matter movement was seen out in front, Black Power was always behind the scenes doing major organizing. So when we, the Black Riders and the Huey P. Newton Gun Club in 2015 decided to march on the state capitol in Austin, Texas, it was in honor of Michael Brown, in honor of Clinton Allen, in honor of Ezo Ford and others. So once we marched on the state capitol openly armed in Texas, then weeks later, months later, they targeted Rakim. They arrested him on fake trumped up charges and put out openly that he was considered a BIE threat, which is an extension of COINTELPRO, which is Black Identity Extremists. Anybody who gains knowledge of self, whether you nonviolent or believe in armed self-defense, they believe that you are an enemy combatant, that you are an outright terrorist to this country. Black Power.
Black Power. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. So engineer, go ahead and put up brother Rakim's hashtag for his Cash App, so we can start trying to get some funds to this brother and to his account, because we understand that that is our entire purpose here today, is to be able to help fund the legal fees as well as support for our brothers who are behind enemy lines. We have brother Wakim's wife coming on, Sister Huwutu. So if you can hear me, sister, you can go ahead and log back in. For you that are not familiar with brother Rakim, he is one of the founding members of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. He joined the gun club in 2014. He was there for our initial march. And brother Rakim, if you don't know, let me say, you see all the people that's doing the survival and all the exercises and all the working out on social media. Brother Rakim is the one that made that popular. So when you see all these people doing all the workouts on Facebook, Brother Rakim is the one that normalized that, because he took the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and every weekend he would have them in the park and he would have them doing physical training. So we want to give credit where credit is due. Sister Huweitu, Sister Hu, say, pronounce your name for me, Queen. Oh, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Check your microphone. Nothing. Nothing. Do we have her microphone on? Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, we got you. We got you.
You
So
can hear me?
yes,
Okay.
we can.
Cool.
So pronounce your name for me, sister, because I'm terrible with pronouncing name. Is it Huwutu or Huwetu?
It's Hey Hey Wooty.
Oh shit! I never would have got that right. Hey,
It's
hey, woo.
yes.
Okay, so tell us in general how you met brother Rakim, and what was it about this brother that attracted you to him?
Okay. So of course, Rakim originally he hit me up because of a post I had made on Facebook. And I guess it was like controversial. So we kind of began talking about it and we exchanged numbers and began talking on the phone. And then we just kind of ended up talking like every single day. It was kind of like, so I know you know, but I had an organization that's based in Georgia called the Project Black Movement, and I was activist in the community, had several programs, and so a lot of all I did was like study and listen to documentaries, listen to speeches by some of the original Panthers, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and so when I talked to him, it was kind of like listening to one of those speeches or like listening to myself. I was just like, wow, like, and I've never really had a conversation with a man that kind of went on a political level. Like just getting out in the community and networking and stuff, it's very hard to find a lot of brothers, not saying that they don't care about the community, but that is politically educated. And so I guess I was just drawn to that. And yeah, we just kind of began talking like literally every day for hours. And we ended up linking up and we met up a few times and it just kind of went from there. And, we've been together going on 3 years and we have a daughter now. She's 7 months old. Her name is Justice Balagoon. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Engineer, if you would, please bring Taco back into the screen. I think we have the Wi-Fi situation worked out the best that we're going to get it, but I want General Taco to be available in case I do fall back off. So, brother Rakim, how is his spirit right now?
It's been okay. The first few months that he was incarcerated, it was very rocky because they did not allow him to have a phone. So we were not able to communicate outside of writing letters and they moved him like 3 different times. So they finally moved him to the Coalfield unit in Huntsville, and I guess that's like his permanent location now. And he a couple of months ago was falsely accused of having meth in his cell, along with I think they said there was a knife in there, but he had another cellmate in there. And so, I did dispute that matter with the ombudsman and wrote them a letter, and they did handle the issue. And so they did drop I guess, the case with the meth, and they actually moved him to a better living cell because he did have some other issues in there, like even with his health and medical negligence and stuff like that. And so they moved him to a dorm. So now he has a tablet and he's able to receive letters. So if anyone writes him, you can write him on the Security app and he gets it directly to the tablet versus waiting a few days to get it through JPay and then printing it off. But we went to visit him a couple of times. He's got to see the baby, and hopefully we'll be able to see him. I do have his oldest daughter for a couple of weeks, so I'm praying that I'll be able to get down there to see him so that she can visit him as well. But we've been just trying to keep the visitation consistent as possible. And I spoke to him earlier on the phone. So, he's been doing okay. He's better because, like I said, those first few months were very rough. And so, yeah.
So, people that know myself and the relationship that Brother Rakim had, they know that we didn't have the best relationship. I mean, we were not against each other, but we had ideological differences, but I want to people to know and to understand that that is my brother. And regardless if we had some type of ideological differences or whatever it is, that I fully support him. And I want the people to know and to understand that I love Brother Rakim. That is my comrade. So just because you might have seen some texts go back and forth on Facebook where we were having differences of opinion, I just please understand that sometimes people are not going to agree on everything. And Brother Rakim and myself are both we're both alpha males. You know, neither one of us like being told what to do. You know, we like but I just want people to understand that that is my brother. So sister, for the people that want to get in touch with him and write him some type of letter, how would they be able to reach him again? You just gave the information. Can you confirm that for me again?
Yes. So if you download the Securus app, and then you just put in Christopher Maurice Daniels and you put in the Cofield unit, it will pull him up. I don't think you need his inmate number as long as you have his name and the unit that it's in, but I don't remember it by heart. But when you, like I said, when you pull it up, it will pull up that inmate in that unit. And then you just write him. It's really simple steps to it. Just really goes through actually downloading the app.
Okay. My question is, why do you think the Black community has forgotten about a lot of our political prisoners? Why is it that when these comrades are out on the streets doing the work, everybody loves them, but once they are locked up behind bars, people tend to forget the sacrifice that our comrades have given? Engineer, can you please put a picture up of Brother Rakim? Go ahead, sister.
One, I feel like the community is extremely distracted. I know about a week ago they had and I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but the Tatiana Jefferson trial with her murderer. And are you still able to hear me? Oh, okay. But they put her murderer on trial, and during this time, they had Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez on trial. They have the Ghana and what is that rapper name? I can't even think his name, Young Thug or whatever, on trial, and a lot of people are tuned into a lot of things like that, and it seems like they really silenced the thing with Tatiana Jefferson's trial, because the media is heavily pushing these things. And I think one of the things that we have to do to counteract that is that we have to be on the same page when we do have our political prisoners behind bars, is making sure that we are consistently working together to promote that, because nobody is the same with Black businesses. Nobody's going to promote us except for us. And so there is power in numbers. And so I know that we have a lot of Black power movements and organizations, and just in general, if we all work together and said, we had a flyer with political prisoners, and 30 of us shared it, 40 of us shared it, then it's going to get recognition even on social media, hitting up all those platforms, because that's exactly what they do. They have, the news outlets, and these, get heavy promotion and stuff like that. And so it is what's trending. That is what people see when they find on their phones. Because I know when I log on, that's what I see everybody talking about is, Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. And I feel like we have to be responsible for our own propaganda in the community, because we cannot allow, we're not, they're not going to do it. The media is not going to promote political prisoners. They're not going to promote the things that need to be done in our community. And so it's, strictly up to us to do that. And I feel like we have to be aware of, our own power when it comes to just pushing, for political prisoners and the culture of resistance and all of that. And so like I said, I just feel like our community is just heavily distracted because they can see it. And even when he first got locked up, I know there was a lot of support, but then it's kind of like you don't hear from anybody, or you don't get the hey, how are y'all okay, or people writing him and stuff like that. It kind of dies down after so many months. He still has a few people that may write him here and there or whatever to check on him or send donations, but it just kind of slowly dies down. And I think you have to have people who are in charge of like what you're doing with the political prisoner campaign. You literally have to have people who are dedicated to freeing political prisoners and working on that and raising the awareness in the communities, because like I said, I think people just don't know. Like they are people, when I share stuff on his page and they see that he's locked up, they're like, when did this happen? And it can also be like the algorithm on Facebook, because when you interact with certain people on your page, it will show their posts more. And so let's say someone hasn't interacted with him in a long time, or he's not posting right now. People will not see those posts, or those posts can be pushed back, as well as social media does shadow ban certain people's pages. And so, you might be posting something, and social media on purpose will push your post back so that people can't see it. And so, just being aware of those things, I think we all have to work together to raise the awareness. And I think we have to be out in the community. So, creating flyers and interacting with people, going to events, passing flyers out, because even social media, that's only like 15% of marketing. So when you share things on there, you're only getting to 15% of the crowd, and so actually going out to the crowd, going out in the communities and letting them know what's actually going on, because I do believe people would care. It's just that they don't know, or like I said, they're distracted. And so that's pretty much how I, from my perspective, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you for that. I got brother Sean Patterson trying to check in with me from Houston. Brother, if you can hear me, I'm not able to answer the call right now, but we'll be looking forward to you checking in here very shortly. Support Brother Rakim Balagoon at money sign Project Black 101 money sign Project Black 101. It is going through the ticker right now as we speak. Don't wait to the end of the show. Go ahead, make a donation, whatever you have. If you have $5, send it. If you've got $10, send it. If you got 20, if you got 100, go ahead and send that money in right now. We as Black people have to start supporting those people that support us. This brother is a frontline fighter. He is a representative of the Black Power community. He is a real freedom fighter, and we have to start showing that love for our comrades when we're locked behind enemy lines. So, sister who wait, sister, here I go with that name again.
Hey, Lucy, it's okay.
Hey Wooty, sister, hey Wooty. If Brother Rakim was free right now, what do you think he would have to say about other political prisoners that are in the same position as him?
A lot. So I've actually learned a lot from him about political prisoners, and even that, going back to your first question, that kind of ties in. As an activist, I was not aware that there were so many political prisoners until, I learned that from Guerrilla Mainframe, and then, just sharing some of the things that they actually experience. And a lot of them are set up, they're framed, they're purposely trying to break them, just to kind of break down their spirits and stop them, or stop them from being motivated from going out in the community and organizing, or just trying to fight for justice in general. And I believe that was one of the main things that he has shared with me. One of his favorite Panthers, and I don't want to say his name wrong. I don't know if I pronounce it, but it's like H.P. Brown or something like that. I
H.
actually
Rap Brown.
through him. What'd you say?
Mm-hmm. Is that H. Rap Brown?
Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. So I learned about him through Rakim, and he was always sharing like documentaries and speeches or whatever. But he was just sharing that he's close to going blind, or he's like legally blind now, and he's been in there a really long time and just sharing, his experience. And it's kind of like even with trying to pronounce their names, Mumia, Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, even with him and his health fading and his stuff, and it's just kind of like, there's no reason for them to be behind bars for that long period of time and just, be neglected like that. But that was just the main thing. Like he just educated me on, the medical neglect. Sorry, the medical negligence that they experience. Um, I think he's sharing that one of them had been like they've been tortured. Like some of them have been tortured and just different things like that. And just seeing that, and then even with Rakim's experience, like when he was accused of having the meth, they put him in a cage for like a couple of days, and they didn't give him any of his belongings or anything like that. And it's just kind of like, that's very inhumane, and um, when I addressed that, I was just like, how is this facility actually rehabilitating inmates if that is how you're treating them? How do you expect them to come back out into the community and be civilized? I can imagine the psychological trauma that they are experiencing from that. And so I think that he would definitely touch on that and just different things. And even with the prison guards, he was expressing that um, a lot of them are from Nigeria, and they are not our, they don't act like our allies. They actually act like they're brainwashed, and they abuse them, they treat them like trash. And he was expressing, they try to break them down, they talk to them any what kind of way, they don't respect them. And I think with that, it's our responsibility to try to reach out to organizations in Nigeria, or raise awareness to them in creating that culture of resistance. Like, hey, we're sister and brothers. Like, don't come over here working for U.S. private prisons and allowing them to use you to break us down. Because he was expressing that a lot of our own sisters and brothers here in America wouldn't take those type of positions, and so that is why they use the Nigerians to come over here in the prison to work. And so I think it's very important, if we have organizations that can reach out to Nigeria, or find like socialist organizations and see if even they can start campaigns that would um, help them to understand that we should be working as allies together, and we are one and the same, and we are all being exploited, because it's just a miseducation. They think they're coming over here for opportunity and job, but they're actually being used, to they're being used like the black face with a white mind, and they think that they're doing this great favor to America, or whatever. And so they definitely need to be educated on who their allies actually are. But I think if there was a way to do that, that would also help with the culture of resistance, because they don't need to be working in there. You know what I'm saying? None of us need to be working to help the white man, period. But
Right.
that's one of the big issues that he was expressing there. And I'm not sure, with other private prisons, who they're using or anything like that. But even them using, like I said, Africans to beat us down is terrible in my opinion. So yeah.
Okay. Well, sister, thank you for coming on and representing Brother Rakim. When you get a chance to speak to him, let him know that I am here for him, not just for today, but for the long term, and that we're going to continue to support him, and we're going to have more shows to encourage the people to help donate and to help support our brothers that are behind enemy line. So when you have a chance to rap to the king, let him know Brother Babu is still on his side and that I'm going to continue to support him. And we thank you for logging on and giving us your input on political prisoners today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I
Okay, enjoy. Let
appreciate
us see
it.
that
And I'll
beautiful baby.
definitely.
Put her in the screen. Let us see baby
Ooh, her
Rakim.
hair not dancing.
Oh, we were. Hey, mama.
Justice
Hey,
Balagoon.
hey,
Say
little Balagoon. Just
hi.
wanted you guys to know that the Black community loves you, and we're going to continue to support you. So I will be reaching out to you very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Peace and power.
Peace.
Okay, if we still got Brother General Taco on the line, I really want him back in the feed. I need Taco basically for the duration if he's available. So I see we got Brother Ahmad and we got Brother Nat Turner in the feed. Let's go, Ahmad. Just hold steady, comrade. We're going to get you. Let's bring in Brother Nat Turner, and now we're going to peace and power, brother.
Right on, brother. Black Pie, how you doing?
Right on, right on. So we're going to talk about our next prisoner of war, Brother Hannibal Rashid, a member of the new Black Panther Party, and a cub of Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Hannibal was in the organization actually before I was. So can you give us a little background on the comrade?
Yeah, since I was a little boy, like 5 years old, basically, come up in the new Black Panther Party, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and his mother, Khadijah Shakur, been a member of the new Black Panther Party. And like I said, since he was a child, and growing up, Panther, cub, and a series of demonstrations, some high-profile cases, New York, boots on the ground, as they say, so to speak, and being real active, growing up as a young man, a teenager and stuff, and just people got to know him, and not just somebody just with a bullhorn or whatever, but actually like in the community, in the neighborhoods, and which led to other things and stuff, when you do this kind of political work, you become a target. And New York State, has always had a history of corruption, pig corruption. The police is no more, no less than the arm of the state. And, being active, your name, you come under scrutiny. They develop a sort of a profile of you, and which played in the part of the current situation where he's at today. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what it is, But like I say, you come up, the little boy's up photo, which we could have had it when he was standing on posts, and at the time, Malik Zulu Shabazz, speaking. And you see him there, on posts as a little child, and phenomenal, and which more of our parents could, sort of give their boys, especially, the type of upbringing, consciousness as a child, as a black boy in such a vicious society that seeks to annihilate them in various ways. saying? Black power.
So, how long has the comrade been? First of all, how old is Brother Hannibal, and how long has he been being held as a prisoner of war? How long has he been locked up?
It's going on 10 years, 2013. Murder charge. We believe a trumped up murder charge. Hannibal should be at least 30 years old, somewhere up in there. It's pretty much been held captive, as you said, a POW, conscious prisoner of war for 10 years.
Absolutely. How is his health, and how is the brother being treated, as far as you know?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, recently, more recent times, maybe about a couple of weeks since, he actually was attacked in his so-called cell by a goon squad. You know what I'm saying? Physical attack, and they handcuffed him actually, and brutalized him. He developed what he likes to term as a blood clot, in one of his eyes. And initially, when he was urinating, he had discovered blood in his urine. That's how vicious it was that this attack had been. And of course, it's politically motivated. He's not one of the ones that's being held captive. Let me say this right quick. We believe that there's two types of prisoners of war: politicized prisoners of war and unpoliticized prisoners of war. So therefore, it's due to responsibility on those who are politicized prisoners of war to politicize the unpoliticized. And Hannibal was one of those. And so naturally, as the pig, in so many words, you've been a pain in my ass, and we want to deal with you. And so they enter his cell. There's about 6 of them, 3 to 6 of them. And they had dreadlocks, and so they had, pulled him by his dreadlocks. And they brutalized, physically assaulted the young warrior, and as a matter of fact, trying to denying him proper medical treatment. You know what I'm saying? And then taking it further to the point where if he reported further whatever that he needed treatment, try to take it further than what they wanted him to take it, then they would exact further retribution against him. But there's a normal routine that he does, on a daily basis with his mother. Would have a daily routine of contact, phone calls. And this particular time, she weren't able to have this phone call, so we sounded the alarm. You know what I'm saying? Some of us, we've made these calls, these for the record calls, the whole these so-called state officials responsible and further responsible for any other further action. I myself, spoke with one of the directors of communication of one of these New York State Assembly members, who, by the way, was out the country on the People's Dime. And just so happened to be, he's been held in Sing Sing concentration camp in Ossining Village, New York. And this person who I so happen to be talking to just so happened to tell me that this council person, this state assembly person's office is in walking distance of Sing Sing. So I was explaining to her, the whole point, the whole case, and it's certain terminologies, you use a certain way of explaining to these people, like the Black Panther Party had taught us, our generation, the terminologies and uses of words and expressions due to an irreconcilable relationship. But just to point of record, So he's already behind enemy lines, so you become isolated. And that's the first thing that they do when they try to eliminate you. They isolate you, and you become lost in the system. And so we made calls to these people who we are told this so-called constitution, these constitutional rights, and these persons who are have these positions, who are responsible. And so held put them on notice that from now on, they're responsible for any further thing. And I explained to her that it's a personal vendetta, it's political vendetta on the part of these certain forces that are operating behind these shadow forces and stuff. But that was the latest. It wasn't the first time, but formerly when he got convicted and was sentenced in the Clinton incorrectional facility in New York, Dannemora, New York. And while there, he had also come under attack there. They were sending these certain forces at him. One time, some cat he's never seen before, had no contact with whatsoever, tried to, attack him, and he was able to defend himself, by the things he had learned, while being in the new Black Panther Party, and of course further behind enemy lines also, which remind one in the sense of George Jackson, who a lot of our people are not, politically conscious of. So it's not the first time, and so, we transferred the same. These tactics that they could also use to, when they transferring you to make it hard for his loved ones to visit him, to exhaust resources and things of that nature. But he's gotten better in the sense with the blood and the urine had stopped. But as of late, he's been having issues with his eye. So that's pretty much as far as his health goes. But for his spirit, it's astronomical. He's talking to our men's communication, and he's like, look, man, this is war. You know what I'm saying? So, they want smoke, we give them smoke. So his whole spirit is astronomical. You know what I'm saying?
Copy that. So when the broadcast is finished, if you would come back and put in the comment section how people can get in contact with Brother Hannibal, write him a letter, and lift his spirits up. We got his Cash App going across the screen, but just for the purposes of people have access to it after the show is done, go ahead and put his Cash App in the comments as well, so it will be there for further use. But another question for you, brother. We have a lot of support when it comes to people supporting us on Facebook and on social media, and even sometimes in the field. But when our brothers become captives, prisoners of war, it seems like the community forgets about us and just pushes us to the back. What would you say to the Black community as far as the need to support these comrades when they're locked behind enemy lines?
Yeah, that's a damn good question. The first thing that comes to mind is that a lot of us, some of us, man, we're old enough now to where we're the sons and daughters of the parents who lived through the 50s and the 60s, with the segregation, and that there were brothers and sisters who, during your dad and your mom's era, belonged to that generation, that put their lives on the line. They made sacrifices. Some of them gave up their careers, to so-called, make something of themselves and, live the life of Riley, having access to material luxury. A lot of these brothers and sisters were water holes, chased out of the country, of course, assassinated, set up on trumped-up charges by the infamous COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, and people sacrifice blood, sweat, and tears. While a lot of our parents, didn't do hardly anything, but they benefited, And so the torch has been passed to our generation. And so therefore, it's no excuse. Everybody can make a contribution, whether you want to go and make something yourselves in terms of, going to college and getting a degree in various fields of operation and making good money and, living a nice condo, driving a nice car, have all, like I said, access to material luxury. That don't excuse you. That don't make you exempt from making a contribution. There's brothers and sisters who are on the front line. The different formations that you see out here now that the government has problems with. Some of our names are in certain categories, and some of us are put on certain lists when some of us can't fly. Some of us have to go through certain procedures when we flying and whatnot. And these different tactics that they use. But the chickens have come on the roofs. As Malcolm X has said, he called it correctly, and that I say to those who hesitate or who try to, it's a lot, man, just trying to like sum it up the best way I could, but developing selective amnesia or this try to pretend things we free and we got these amendments and all this kind of stuff, desegregation now, we're equals, is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's illusions, utopian. But there's more of the people out in the street, these what I prefer to live Vietnam, struggling the system under which we live. And at some point in time, like Malcolm said, chickens come on the roof, and so the lid be blasted off. We're sitting on a powder keg in this country. And the very same people who have remained aloof from the struggle, from the problems of Black people collectively, is going to be some of the very same people who get the short of the stick. The state cannot protect them. You know what I'm saying? The state can bear to protect its own kind, certain classes of people when it come down to, the coming cataclysm. We see it as a protracted war on various fronts, different forms of war. And this is just one aspect of it. It's a spiritual war at the same time. But there's no excuse. If March of Dimes can call you to an event and you go, United Way can call you to an event and you go and whatnot, they call for some special celebration and whatnot, and then when the people call you, there's no excuse. Show up, you make a contribution. I understand there's a lot of fear and anxiety and paranoia. It shows you what the measure of power can do to people, but all these different persons who, and sadly, there's also a case of classism. We've adapted these European ways of thought, under the system, society, the culture. But it's no excuse, and so there's more people out on the streets, and the stuff you see on the streets is not happening by coincidence. And there's always blowback for everything. The George Floyd phenomena, these people like Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, all these people want to come out of the woodwork, start saying we. No, they come out of the woodwork, start saying we because they saw something, and the state saw the same thing. So you cut off the hand that's feeding you. And so they try to use these tactics, to try to pretend that they with the people. But like I said, there's no excuse, people died, for these same individuals to be able to have the chances that they had, to become a billionaire, $100 million contract to run up and down on a football field, or to go platinum on an album, or world's most sold out top movie of all time, and winning an Oscar or Grammy and all these other things, Soul Train Awards, BET Awards, and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So some of these cats who make it, they come out of the neighborhood, out of the hood. They do these ESPN 30 for 30. How did the football player didn't have a father and whatnot? How for rag to riches? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? For the hood now? The hood is coming under attack, and you'll know where to be found. So I say, in some instances, I don't give a shit if you black, brown, red, yellow, or white. You'll make no contribution. People are going out on the front lines for your son and daughter. You never know who can be next. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much what I would tell them, in essence. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, brother, I appreciate that powerful commentary. and for coming on here and letting the people know who Brother Hannibal Rashidin is. And we're going to do everything that we can to support that brother today. So if you're listening in to this broadcast, go ahead and start making the donations now. Don't wait till the end of the show. We got his cash up on Tickle. If you got $5, donate 5. If you got 10, donate 10. If you got 20, if you got 100, we have to support our brothers behind enemy lines. Again, Brother Nat Turner, it's my first time meeting you, but thank you for the clarity and thank you for the information. And I look forward to working with you again, comrade.
Right on, yeah. And say this right quick too. Just to kind of add some context to his case. Hannibal is a political prisoner. The way that he was put in a position, maneuvered in position, or coerced confession is not unique. It's something that's been done all around the country. To brothers, African brothers who are wrongly incarcerated and stuff. But it's the situation that has been placed in. You know what I'm saying? As a young man, 21 years old. The different type. And of course, these pigs, used to see Hannibal and say, hey, we gonna get you. They knew who he was, or they learned who he was. You know what I'm saying? They call him by his name and single him out. You know what I'm saying? He was say, they know who his mama is, what they beliefs are and what they stand, having the last name of Shakur. You know what I'm saying? So we want people to understand that that is not as a simple, complex situation. The way they was able to incarcerate him, you know what I'm saying? We just need people to know these are political prisoners, like the other brother, Brother Balagoon, and some other brothers. We have to really understand, how it works, and what we say, not falling for the okie doke. He's just not a prisoner. He's a prisoner of war. He's a prisoner of conscience. And not because he stole so much as a pack of knowledge. Is because of his political views is juxtaposed to the state. And what we mean by the state is the politician, the businessman, the judge, and the police who work in concerted effort to maintain, the position of the white ruling class, and then on down from there. You know what I'm saying? Black Pie, man, we thank for having me on. National Chairman of the People's Political Party. Just trying to make a contribution, to advance the struggle, for the long run, to protracted struggle. And the enemy has always had problems with protracted struggle. The historical analysis show that his weaknesses all over the place, regardless of how much technology, how much science, how much weaponry that they accumulate, because it's a vested interest, they have to. You know what I'm saying? But, the chickens have come on the rules there in the crisis. And like David Walker said, come a time when the slave master would call his pants down, and incumbent upon the slave to move to sever his master's head from his shoulders. And if not, then you deserve to be treated like a slave. You know what I'm saying? Black power, all power to the people.
Black power. And make sure that you give his mother, Sister Khadijah, let her know that we're going to support not only today, but we're going to be advocating for support for the duration of the time that this comrade is in prison. Give Sister Amina Ashun a Black Power shout out from us for linking us up with yourself. And man, we appreciate brothers like you and sisters like Amina and Khadijah, because this is going to be a lifetime struggle for us until we get some type of equality, human rights in this country. So thank you again, brother, for logging on, and I look forward to building with you in the near future.
Right on, man. Yeah, Black Pop, man. We all we got. You know what I'm saying? We go through internal issues and problems, but the enemy not going to jump over you to get the meat. You know what I'm saying? Because, my name on the list and yours not, and vice versa. You want some list and they after you more than me, I'd be a fool to think because I'm standing in front of you that they're going to somehow bypass me to get to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We got the same thing in common. You know what I'm saying? Just the different, locations and whatnot, but it's a war, all out war against our African people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, thank you for having me on. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, Black Power.
Black Power. So, Sister Engineer, if you can bring up brother Ahmad, brother. Brother Aki Buck, I see you in the feed. I'm about to get to you and Brother Sims as soon as possible, man, because I know you out there in the field putting in work. So if we can bring in Brother Ahmad in, he's been in the feed for a moment if he's available. And if anybody is listening to the podcast at this time, get in contact with Brother Taco. Tell him to chime back in. Sean Patterson out of Houston, man, we waiting on you to get in the feed, brother, so we can get this information from you. So who else do we have in the feed that is available right now? Let's see if we can bring Brother Ahmad in. Is he available? Okay, that's Brother Aki. Brother Aki, can you hear me, brother? You got his microphone on, Brother Aki. Can you hear me? It's on you, brother. I see you looking at me. Can you hear me? Okay, we are not getting no sound from Brother Aki. Brother Sims, can we bring Brother Sims in? Brother Sims, are you available? Peace and power, brother. Oh man, I can't hear you sound. Can't hear you sound. Turn your microphone on. So if you brothers can, Brother Sims and Brother Aki, if you can log out and log back in, let's go with Brother Rashan to see if this brother can if we can get some sound. Brother Aki, can you hear me? You got your microphone on? Check your microphone. All right, yeah, we are, man, we having some type of sound issues, man. So you brothers have been on hold for so might have to log out and log back in. So just try that. Engineer, if you could send them a message to have them to log out and log in. Let's see if, hey, peace and brother Afi, can you hear me, brother? Brother Afi, can you hear me? Can't get no sound out of you, no mic. You could bring, yeah, leave the screen like that. Leave Brother Afi on and leave Brother Sims on. Still can't get no sound out of y'all, brother. You might have to log out and log back in. Sister Engineer, go ahead and send them the message and have them log out and log back in. But to continue the show, it is our responsibility as Black men and Black women to support our prisoners of war. It's nobody else's responsibility. These comrades, these brothers and sisters are out here, man, on the front line. When somebody's helped, when somebody is murdered, the first ones to show up at whatever it is, whether it be a protest, whether it be a trial, and then when our people are locked up, we don't have any type of support. We tend to forget that our comrades need our help. And we can't be like that, man. So whether they can hear us or not, support Brother Rakim Balagoon. Go to his Cash App and support him. Support Brother Hannibal of the New Black Panther Party, based in New York City. Support Brother Shango, but we haven't gotten to him as of yet. We can't forget about our brothers and sisters. Support some of the elders that are still incarcerated, and we have not written them. We have not sent them any type of monetary funds. Brother Mumia still needs our support. This brother has been locked up for decades, man, for doing the work of the people. So it is our responsibility to let these comrades know that when they are locked up, they are not alone. So who microphone do we have working right now? Let's go back to Brother Afi and see if we can get him in. Brother Afi. Your mic, brother. Still no mic. Okay. Okay. If anybody can hear me, man, let's get Brother Taco back on here. I need Brother Taco, man. He's giving out very valuable information on how the counterintelligence program works and how our brothers are being targeted throughout this country. So I got some value from Brother Taco. Bring Brother Taco back in. Or is that Brother Afi? Afi, can you hear me? Okay, go ahead and bring Brother Taco back in because we got some value from him.
Power.
Power, brother. We can hear you just fine, man. Thank you. They doing everything they can to block this broadcast, man. So I don't know if you was able to hear the brother that was representing Brother Hannibal, but my question for you, okay, my question for you is these civilians out here, man, these people that support us on Facebook, these people that support us on all of these social media apps, what can they do to ensure that our political prisoners are not forgotten in the liberation struggle?
Black power, black power. Well, with the Black Defense Committee, we trying to make sure we focus on a two-pronged strategy. One is relief from the absolute suffering, and the second one is release or freedom by any means necessary. Our goal with the Black Defense Committee, uniting plenty of Panther groups together to bring our strengths to the forefront. We want to send birthday cards to honor them on their birthday. We want to raise funds for their commissary so they can be able to eat and not eat the prison slop that they feed them. We want to look deeply and push campaigns for clemency, compassionate release, or pardons. We want to push a book to prison program. Last year, we sent out numerous books in alliance with numerous Panther groups all throughout the country. We want to develop a future prison newspaper so we can constantly educate them on the day-to-day struggle that goes on all Panther formations around the country. We want to push armed demonstrations whenever it's necessary to put pressure on the criminal justice system. We must understand that the criminal justice system derived from the creation of the American government, derived from the establishment of America. And like Khalid Abdul Muhammad taught us, that the racist white man in the capitalist structure broke every single law in the penal code throughout racist America to establish racist America. So there are no judge on our people. Their things to bring about the absolute extermination and genocide of our people. So we want to push a court watch program. So right there, where it begins with the prosecutor and the defense, with the judge and the jury, which is usually aligned with the fascist state and white supremacy against our people. These are some of the campaigns that we want to push. We want to push large-scale phone banks so they can be able to contact their loved ones. In the Black Defense Committee, we want to push to help their children with funds and other material so we can guarantee that their children are taken care of. These are some of the things that we need to do to get away from the brainwashing of out of sight, out of mind. The prison industrial complex came about because of mass incarceration and racist crime laws that was pushed by President Biden and Clinton back in the 90s to develop prison construction all over this country, because they understood that once they brought about a fake form of integration, which triggered white flight, and the racist white folks ran to the suburbs and they confined us to the. A lot of people feel that segregation was obliterated when they really brought spatial segregation. Out here in California and LA, you have Beverly Hills, and if you notice, it is by an invisible wall rotating pigs. It is a sundown town, a sundown city, because they wanted to keep us confined in the ghetto. The ghetto started out with the racist Germans back right before World War II, where they wanted to confine the so-called Jews into a place in an area where they can exterminate them and commit genocide. So they created an experiment, and they put mice in the maze, and they denied them mice food and other things, and watched them fight amongst each other and destroy each other, trying to survive, trying to live off scarce resources. So they used these tactics on the so-called Jews, and then also the American government started pushing it right at the end of the 1970s to a full scale. So prison construction turned to be concentration camp construction, because they seen the rise of the Black Panther Party. They seen the rise of many other Black power formations like the Republic of New Africa, Revolutionary Action Movement, Nation of Islam, and other groups that pushed for liberation. They began to target them during the late 60s and 70s. It was either prison, death, or exile is the line they was pushing at the comrades in the movement. And at that point, they brought about the concentration camp technique, which George Jackson taught us about. And he said it is designed to intimidate future revolutionary struggle. So they began to confine us. And we must understand that being in a prison cell is, like George Jackson said, he said, is the closest thing to death that you'll ever experience in this life. Being captured is like the closest thing to death that you'll ever experience in this life. So in understanding that, knowing that political prisoners and prisoners of war are targeted even more than the average Black population within the prison system. They're constantly subjected to beatings, harassment, mail being took, visitors being turned away, locked in solitary confinement. If you look at what happened to Huey P. Newton after the alleged murder of the pig, they locked him in a cage called the Soul Breaker. Him and Charles Gary began to push legal affidavits to destroy and wipe out this Soul Breaker. The Soul Breaker was designed to destroy revolutionary consciousness. It was solitary confinement where you sat naked with a hole in the ground to defecate or pee in. And it will overflow, causing you to vomit. Huey P. Newton was locked down in one of these cells for months, and he got it removed out the California prison system. But they created new techniques like the SHU, which is sensory deprivation cells, where you lock down with no sunlight, no window, all because of your political consciousness. This is what we face today on a mass scale all over this country with mass incarceration, racist mandatory minimum laws, and other efforts is to bring about our genocide as a people. When we look back into the history of racist America, you'll see at the end of the late 1970s, it brought about the globalization of capital. So many different industries that was in the Black community, in the poor communities, began to move overseas. So the racist American government, in order to save their American economy, made a pact with some of these racist corporations. They knew they went overseas to make more profit based on capitalism. Their key thing is to bring about exploitation through greed. So the American government made a pact with them big corporations, and they told them, leave them sweatshops alone on a foreign level and bring them back and put them in the prison system. So now, using the 13th Amendment in the Constitution, which said that you couldn't be subjected to slavery unless you committed a crime. That's why we need to remove that 13th Amendment, because it's being used against us.
Hey,
So,
engineer, if you can't bring Brother Taco picture back up, or at least have him on the share screen, even if his camera is off. General, you got your camera off? I'm trying to get you back up on the screen. There you go.
Yeah, it's
there
not
you
letting me. Black Power, you can see me?
Yeah, you blanked in and went right back out. But I can hear you. That's
Yeah.
what's most important.
Okay, yes, sir. It's going in and out. But
okay,
they brought about.
I'm trying to bring Brother Afi in with you as well. So let's see if we can get Brother Afi on a share screen with yourself and Brother Sims. Engineer, if you could bring Afi and Sims on with Taco. Black Power, comrades, can either one of you hear me?
Black Power, Black Power.
Brother Sims, we got you. Brother Afi, can you hear me? So, General, you might have to call Brother Afi here shortly and get him to log out and log back in. But we got yourself and we got Brother Sims on here now. Engineer, you can go ahead and take Afi down and we'll try to come back to him.
You can let Brother Sims take it from there, but we just need to push for the absolute freedom of all political prisoners. Black Power. I'm gonna mute my phone.
You can hear me now?
You speaking to me, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what organization do you represent?
Yes, sir. I'm the Regional Minister of Information for the Black Riders Liberation Party, the New Generation Black Panthers. I'm in the Las Vegas chapter. I've been in the party for about 2 years now. What's it called? I rose up to the rank of Regional Minister of Information about, I want to say 6 to 8 months into the party. That's pretty much it in regards to my initial background in revolutionary work. I mean, I've low-key been studying and going over our history ever since I was little, but to be putting things to praxis and actually learning the theory and getting out there with the people and sort of thing, it's been like in the past like 3 years.
Black Power. So I'm
Black.
going to ask you the same question that I asked the rest of the comrades, so we can get a wide perspective. And
Yes,
that
sir.
question is, what can those people do that are not affiliated with any organization? Mostly the people that follow us on social media and all of these different platforms. How can we get people more involved with political prisoners, and support these brothers and sisters that are locked up behind enemy lines?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. So what I would say is we have to realize that George Jackson, who's a comrade that we honor a lot in our formation, he says that in his book Blood in My Eye, that revolution is a very lofty thing. It's a very big thing. So we can't be thinking that just the militant vanguard is going to be the answer to everything. We can't just be thinking the cultural part of it is going to be the answer to everything. So with that being said, we would have to compartmentalize the people that are really wanting to help and everything. Even just a simple posting of the flyers, or for instance, we have that one of the tasks in the Black Defense Committee is helping out with writing comrades letters, you know. So just simple things like that, it's more of a get in where you, even with Vanguard work, like people try to overcomplicate the Vanguard work we do, but volunteers, people that help pass out flyers to just get more attention on it, that sort of thing. It's not really something that has to be overcomplicated. It's like I feel like a lot of people who see us, they overcomplicate the things we like. Obviously we do a lot of work, like you know that more than anyone, Babu. So it's like, we do a lot of work with not only maintaining vanguards, training recruits, that sort of thing. But I feel like when people see us, they expect us to think that they're gonna do all that. And it's like, no, like it's get in where you fit in, help out, pass out flyers, put some letters together, posting the flyer, just even posting it and letting, because you never know if you may have an African on your social media that is highly interested in this kind of work, but you didn't post it. So they don't even know you're connected to something like that. So, as far as the Black Defense Committee, and give me 1 second, I'm about to pull up our flyer real quick so I can make sure I know all the tasks that are actually required for it. Because outside of just writing letters, there are a bunch of other tasks. Like I said, commissary, helping out with phone banks, like General just pointed out. If you know any lawyers, that's that kind of thing. If you know lawyers that aren't easily what's it called, intimidated by local police administrations, then yes, definitely. Birthday cards. That's a really simple one. Just remembering when their birthday is, and then making a mental note to get them a birthday card and then sending it to them. Um, I want to keep it to those, like you said in that question. You said, what are the things that people can do? Those are the things off of the top of my head that a person who's not directly involved with the vanguard militantness of it can still get involved and help.
So you're obviously younger than me. So
Okay.
no, not a little, probably, but by a lot. So, and one of the things that we want to do is we want to encourage more young people to get involved in the struggle. So, from your perspective, can you explain to our comrades, especially the ones around your age, what a political prisoner actually is from your studies?
Yes, sir. Someone who has been incarcerated based off of their political outlook. I'm actually, and you'll hear me refer to George Jackson a lot because not only have I been studying him a lot, but because of the work we've been doing, he's just been one of the brothers at the forefront of our propaganda campaign and telling people to study him. So a person who's been incarcerated because of their political beliefs. If we look at George Jackson's history, he was put in jail on a one to life sentence. So if we look at that and everything, he served the 1 year, and then obviously when the brothers started to get more politically conscious, organized prisoners, they realized they can't really. For them, it's dangerous to let those kind of individuals out. Like at the end of the day, we understand that that's oppressive, but when we look at it from their perspective, it's like, yeah, you kind of understand why they wouldn't want to let a conscious individual like that out, and then you can deal with it as such. But as far as me as a youngster in regards to educating the youngsters, I'm a little, and I think General would agree with this. I'm a little bit of an outlier when it comes to younger comrades because I take my studies and my work for the party extremely, extremely seriously. It's kind of something that there really isn't no off days for me when it comes to this kind of work. So as far as my perspective, it may be a little different because I'm just a little bit of an outlier when it comes to I've been studying since I was little, so it's kind of just like one of those things. But as far as teaching other younger comrades about it, it is kind of difficult because, like General even just said, sometimes with these situations, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. So we be so focused on the outside work, pig patrols, educating youngsters, teaching the certain people about our political program, and then when we bring up the political prisoners thing, some people low key feel like, well, what can we do? Like, how do you organize against the prison industrial complex? And it's like, well, we have to realize that as far as our two-pronged strategy in the Black Riders, it's dealing with evolving the prisons into libraries of revolution, and then also turning the communities into cultural, political, militant, what's it called, locations, basically hubs of revolution. So obviously we have to be focused on the prison industrial complex because we have so many soldiers in there. We have so many people who are, like we said, political prisoners who are incarcerated because of their political outlook. And once we realize that then we're like, we are able to organize against it and able to combat it. It's just a matter of looking at it in a long-term protracted war standpoint, unfortunately. And I've noticed it even with me being a youngster. Sometimes we want things like quickly, like we're very much like pragmatic with everything. So it's like, if we're like, well, let's just do it like this. But it's like, General has taught me that a lot of these things are long-term protracted wars, so it's like we have to really get in the mindset of that in order to get these brothers which relieve is basically just dealing with getting them supplies, putting money on their books, trying to keep their spirits up while they're in there, and then release, actually trying to get lawyers and people who can actually help us with the release. Black Power.
Black Power. What would you say to comrades that are going to eventually join the struggle? Huey P. Newton wrote in Revolutionary Suicide that once you join the struggle, once you join the fight for liberation of the minds of our people, that you become a doomed man. Can you explain to the people exactly what Huey meant when he said, once you join this liberation fight, that you become a doomed man?
I'm going to answer that in a dialectical way. And the reason why I say I'm going to answer it in a dialectical way, because I feel like there's two sides to that coin. I feel like on one side of the coin, I'm going to answer back with a quote that Kwame Ture said. He was saying, like, we believe that we are doomed men, but there's been plenty of times in this country where revolutionaries were able to strike, whether at the tentacles of imperialism or at the actual hub of it itself, and actually get away. So there have been times that we've been able to strike and actually get away alive. Those are the ones I try to stay focused on, because I feel like us as a people, we need to get out of the mindset of thinking that just because we're revolutionaries that we're doomed men. I feel like we're giving way too much power to our enemy with that. That's just my personal opinion. And then also too, you were saying with certain youngsters, I'm gonna just keep it a buck, comrade. Like, you got a lot of youngsters who are scared, bro. Like, there's like, I mean, it's kind of hard sometimes because it's not just the kids that are scared. It's the parents that are putting fear in them. Like, my parents never allowed me to be afraid of anything. So it was like, American imperialism was never something intimidating to me. I was just like, okay, you got more guns than me. I can go find guns. Okay, you got this. I can go find that. Like, and then I also had the mindset of like the Vietnamese, where it was like, okay, well, whatever you bring to try to kill me, I'll just jack it from you. So like, it was a different mindset. But as far as the youngsters, it's really like we have to show them an example of us being able to like not be afraid. Like I've realized that inspiration is the biggest thing, like actually showing them that it's possible to be done, because some of them have a defeatist attitude because their parents have instilled that in them, saying like, oh, we can't organize, our people aren't ready for that. And I'm always very pragmatic with that. So like when people say that, I'll ask them straight out, I'm like, are you connected to a militant vanguard? I'm like, if you're not, then I'm sorry, you can't speak on those things, because it's like we as the vanguards, we have to start holding people accountable in regards to misinterpreting what we're doing, and also misinterpreting how revolution even works. Most of them don't even study it or get involved with it enough to give an opinion. And Mao Zedong says, what's it called? An opinion without studying is just foolish. So it's like if a lot of these people, they'll be giving opinions on what we're doing and they don't even know what the hell we're doing. So it's like, like just don't talk on it if you don't know about it type thing. Black Power.
Black Power. Brother Afi, can you hear us?
Oh, we can't hear him.
Yeah, we can't hear you, man. This is wow. Well, I'm glad that you can hear us now. So now we just need to work out the part where we can hear you, because I know you got a lot of valuable information out there to give the people. I've heard your lives, and I'm one of your biggest followers when it comes to you giving out this information, man. So let's try to work that bug out so we can let your voice be heard when it comes to giving out this valuable information to the people. So I don't know what the hell is going on.
Hello?
Go ahead, Afi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay. Black Power to the people. How y'all doing?
Black Power, comrade.
Yeah, man. What's the call? Free them all till the towers of Jericho and Babylon fall. You know what I'm saying? My name is Ida Ref, Minister of Public Relations, Black Riders Liberation Party. You know what I'm saying? California. You know what I'm saying? Oakland to LA. You know what I mean? Where can I start, man? The Black Riders Liberation Party, a new generation Black Panther Party formation that stems out of the manifestation of prison abolition. Prison abolition and the prison movement is a pretty much vital and elemental part of the Black liberation movement. You have different waves of the Black liberation movement that have been from different times, from back during chattel slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, or even the new Jim Crow, the Reconstruction period, and we have a new Black liberation movement right now that we have to pretty much propagate and expose to the world. You feel me? Because when people think of the Black liberation movement, they also romanticize it and then categorize it in what I mean, generalize it, generationalize it, if that's a word, but to limit it to just like the 60s and 70s, as if the struggle for liberation right now, for Black liberation in particular, is not valid or legitimate. You know what I'm saying? Like we just tripping or something just because we had a chocolate colored white boy president. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. People will get to thinking that we have civil rights bills and a lot of concessions that were passed to us. But with every concession that they gave to us, they established this new Jim Crow known as the prison industrial complex. And it was kind of highlighted. The struggle for against the prison industrial complex was highlighted and brought to an apex in the California prison system in the 1960s and 70s, dealing with the Soledad brothers, dealing with George Jackson, dealing with basically the department of what we call the Department of concentration camps. You know what I'm saying? This was used to try to neutralize the black liberation movement as a method and technique. There was also already attempts to neutralize just the possibility of black liberation struggle, or just Black people, period. An attempt to monetize and redevelop a new version of slavery. You know what I'm saying? From convict leasing to from chattel slavery to convict leasing to privatized prisons. You know what I'm saying? So it's all a socio-economic game. It's also a method of neutralizing Black family structure. And like the general touched on earlier, we see that evident with the with the new with the 13th Amendment that says that slavery is only legal. Slavery is legal through the prison industrial complex. You know what I'm saying? So if we've been fighting against prison since we've been fighting against slavery since the ships touched the soil of Africa, on the ships, on the transatlantic slave trade, to the time the soil had came here. You know what I'm saying? To the time we touched soil in North America, in South America, on this other side of the hemisphere, we've always had groups of what we would call maroons, escaped slaves. You know what I'm saying? People that would escape and fight back and avenge people who have been enslaved and dehumanized, black people, you know what I'm saying, Native Americans, you know what I'm saying, people who have been colonized, the people who are in touch with nature, and earth, and God and spirituality, a culture that is maintained based off of balance and truth, and reciprocity, you know what I'm saying? So what we try to do is continue that legacy, you know what I'm saying? I think one of the political prisoners, or longtime political prisoners, he went by the name of Russell Maroon Schultz, and wrote a few essays about the connection between Maroons and. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
because something just popped up. All right, so yeah, one of the I would refer people to check out the book Maroon the Implacable or the Implacable. And even with these terms, you know what I'm saying? The Black Panther Party in particular has been hand in hand with the Black liberation movement within the prison system. You know, in Oakland, California, even before Huey P. Newton was became a Black Panther, he suffered it was his experience of what was called the soul breaker, the solitary confinement in Alameda County Courthouse. You know what I'm saying? Right next to Lake Erie. You know what I'm saying? He experienced certain conditions within there that was meant to break your soul, meant to break your spirit, meant to break your fight, meant to make you subject, to capitulate. You know what I'm saying? Subjugate yourself to subservitude or slavery. You know what I'm saying? It was meant to break your heart, meant to break your mind, meant to break your spirit. You know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes, most of the time, what it is just like, you know, steel sharp as steel, and pressure creates diamonds. You know what I'm saying? And in our particular situation, this diamond that was compressed out of the pressure of repression and fascist, racist imperialism made a diamond to cut imperialism within itself. You know what I'm saying? And the manifestations of that are leaders, you know, when it comes to, we could say, Malcolm X, Bunchy Carter, Elders Cleaver, General Taco. I'll get into that. I'll get into the Black liberation, the Black Riders liberation movement, our development in prison, and how we have became to be that manifestation, or how we came into existence through that. I'm giving all this backdrop so you can understand why it's important to support these political prisoners, because the consciousness that the political prisoners are capable of, the potential strength, the potential to strike a blow against white supremacy, and a potential to build a Black nation, independence, national independence, and a global interaction between the communities of oppressed people, Black people in particular. I believe that we, most of those people are incarcerated, either have been incarcerated, are incarcerated. So, like the comrade said earlier, you know, our two-pronged strategy is to turn the prisons into hidden universities of revolutionary thought. Because when you up in there, it's not a whole lot to do but to study, but to train, and but to create these think tanks where you're able to give out marching order for the soldiers on the street to execute with. But it won't be successful if the streets ain't supporting it. You feel me? So in order to make the hidden universities simultaneously, you got to create bases of revolutionary action, and you got to do that within these streets. You know what I'm saying? For the turfs, you feel me? For the gangs, for the projects or apartment complexes. You know what I'm saying? In the places where, in the hood. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's under the hood, man. The hood is under the hood is the engine, man. The engine is what gets this motor rolling. You know what I'm saying? It's because of this. The most impoverished communities, you know what I'm saying, have the most drive uh, to to become revolutionary and to conquer, you know what I'm saying, imperialism and oppression. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people on the outside, you know, they like to complain about a lot of things and about the lack of responses in retaliation or against a, a response, a paramilitary response to white supremacy and terrorism. They might want some vengeance off the bat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The issue with that is we have a lot of those people who took that action, and that shit ain't been supported when they got locked up for it. You know what I'm saying? Or even when they went dead, when they died. You know what I'm saying? When they died in revolutionary glory and what we call, you know, revolutionary suicide, and eternal life through that, because what we believed in and what we believe in and the struggle that we struggle for is passed on to other people to pick up the guns. You know what I'm saying? But there's a missing link between the people who were supposed to pick up the guns and the people who have the guns being demonized to the rest of the people, to the mass of the people who supposed to support us. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like I said, our very foundation of our organization, the Black Riders Liberation Party, was founded in YTS gang prison, Chino. You feel me? Pretty much the unification of street tribes of Bloods and Crips. You know what I'm saying? When they found out that Bloods and Crips came from the Black Panther Party. You know what I mean? You have movies like Bastards of the Party. You have the movies of Black Panther and different Black Panther documentaries that came out at that time that exposed, you know what I'm saying, a lot of these issues dealing with the birth of the Black Liberation Movement and these street tribes, the gangs, formations that arise out of that. A lot of the self-destructive elements that we see from that come from the infiltration of these organizations, of the Black Panther Party and the Republic of New Africa and the different organizations, 5% of the Nation of God's Earth, the Nation of Islam, you know, things like that. Once those formations been infiltrated, obviously even organization of, I just came across some other knowledge. Organization of African American Unity when Malcolm X decided to start that, they was already infiltrated. You feel me? It was halfway in the game, because those people that he was recruiting, the people that he was recruiting was people that he already knew from inside from the streets that have converted over to Islam, and then the Nation of Islam, and then Orthodox Islam over there in Philly. So if you think about the matter of fact, if you watch American Gangster, the Black Mafia, the episode of the Black Mafia within Philly, that is an element of the organization of African American unity, but the spiritual side, the spiritual wing, which was called the Muslim Mosque Incorporated. That's just something I just learned recently. I'm constantly studying, but I was just saying on that. This is the element of the consciousness that was developed from brothers that was incarcerated in prison. You feel me? And like I said, it'll either make you or break you. You know what I'm saying? Bunchy Carter, you feel me, the leader of the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party, which was one of the most prevalent chapters of the Black Panther Party. You feel me? It may have started the Oakland, the Black Riders, the Black Panthers started in Oakland, but the most casualties that have been between the LA have suffered the most casualties. You feel me? When it comes to Black Panther Party interaction between the pigs, because the LAPD is something vicious, man. You know what I'm saying? The LAPD is some of the most rotten pigs ever. It was the LAPD first launched the SWAT team against the Black Panther Party chapter on 41st and Central, which led to a 5 or 8 hour shootout and they lost that shootout. Matter of fact, you feel me? There wasn't no casualties on that during that shootout. You feel me? Because they were highly equipped. They were highly equipped with the paramilitary knowledge from another minister of defense and organizer named Geronimo Pratt. And Geronimo Pratt leads another element of the Black liberation movement, the Black veterans that come home and give people skills on paramilitary operations, on how to defend themselves and to advance on white supremacy. You feel me? So you got the military industrial complex was created, which trained soldiers from going back to Civil War. Black people have participated and gained skills in those wars. You have black people that have participated in low-scale wars on the streets where they incarcerated us. And when they incarcerated us, some of us have continued to struggle inside there. I mean, head to head with not just with the sensationalized races known as the Aryan Brotherhood or a neo-Nazi skinhead and stuff like that, but the racist infrastructure, the Department of Corrections. You know what I'm saying? Those are the white supremacist racist infrastructure, the arm that tries to suppress the movement and try to suppress any type of self-determination. You know what I'm saying? This is the conditions and the environment that the Black Riders was built out of. You feel me? And once General Taco was released on the street, he brought it to the street. He went straight to Watts, where they was already developing the consciousness from the 92 Watts, the 92 rebellions when the Rodney King thing happened. You know what I'm saying? It was already Bloods and Crips trying to unify, but they tried. The police tried to they did successfully infiltrated that, where they would go pull over somebody, right? Pull over somebody, impound a known gang member's car. You feel me? They go slide on their rival hood in that car and go shout out the hood. Meanwhile, they'll go shoot at the rival territory, and at rival hood. They'll be barbecuing and shit. You feel me? These type of stories I hear. They'll be barbecuing. Both street tribes are at the barbecue with the rival hood, but this car, who's a known gang member, they'll come slide and it comes busting shots. And they shot out the hood that is supposed to be opposing them. You know what I'm saying? But we've always, in the hood, we always had a secret form of communication that was able to thwart a lot of that. However, when the heads of the most militant heads within those things, within those formations, they targeted them and they incarcerated them. So these brothers that was in charge of, that was calling the shots within the rebellions of 1992 were incarcerated in YTS gang prison with General Taco, and within this mosque, which is when it comes to Black liberation theology, you know what I'm saying? The mosque, the churches, these spiritual dwellings have always been places to plan for rebellion against injustice. You know what I'm saying? So they were able to politicize within the masjid and YCS and come across this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And with this knowledge, General Taco brought to the streets and redeveloped a lot of that consciousness that was lost due to the leaders of the gang troops being incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? So it all comes full circle. And, especially within the type of facility that the comrades was incarcerated in, a lot of those brothers were trained to get sent to the army anyway to expose their record. They was trying to send them not to the army, but to like mercenary groups like Blackwater and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to turn gangbangers.
Let me ask you a quick question, Brother Rashawn. Can you how's your microphone? Can you hear us?
I can hear y'all clear. Can y'all hear me?
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely. So I want you and brother Afi, I'm gonna let you get back to that. But I want to ask you brothers a question about one of the brothers that's incarcerated now.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about Brother Rakim Balagoon.
Yes, sir.
And I know both of you have soldiered with him at one time or the other. So, Brother Rashawn, can you tell us about your relationship and your soldiering with Brother Rakim Balagoon? And then Brother Afi, when he finishes, can you backdoor that and tell us about your relationship with the comrade?
I can say when I first met Rakim, man, he was a brother, man, a real brotherly spirit. When I first met him, you know, this is around the time when I first came into the Huey P. Newton Gun Club and with the Black Riders. And when I got around him, you know, as we communicate on Facebook before we see each other face to face, when I got around the brother, he was real welcoming, very informative, a brother of hospitality, man. Because when I was out there, he offered, man, like, hey, man, y'all can sleep at my house. You got a place to stay. You don't need a hotel, nothing like that. Very a hospitable person. And whenever I needed something, man, if I needed to do an event, you know, or anything like that, I never got a no, you know, and he was prompt to do it. And when he asked us to come down in Dallas, you know, Babu, when you came down there, we was out there, man, you know, he knows that he can get me to come out there to do anything, you know. But other than that, man, that brother's solid. He got a head on his shoulders. The brother's very knowledgeable. Um, he's he's a vigilant brother, but at the same time, I can say, man, by enough by knowing him, he takes very calculated steps. That's what I like about him. He don't get emotional. I never seen him get emotional. I never seen him get um, you know, overly mad or anything like that, man. So like I say, man, the brother was a true soldier. I mean, he is a true soldier. Let me reframe that. He is a true soldier. I gotta say that about that brother. You know.
I see you soldier with brother Rakim when you guys came down to Austin, Texas. What was your how did the brother come across to you?
Black Power, comrade, man. I got a Panther Black off of what comrade just said, man. The first, like, you know, we had in California or up north, we got some of black people that have somewhat distance from each other. Got kind of a certain level of distance. So, I don't know how to explain it, but the southern hospitality, the word hospitality that comrade just said, that is what I experienced. Like, you feel me? Not just from here, but the whole Gorilla Mainframe, Huey P. Newton front. You know what I'm saying? Because the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, as we looked at it, was a vehicle for a vehicle for a united front of black paramilitary organizations. And you know, it was like as soon as we met each other, we went around, we told our story. You feel me? We introduced ourselves. Uh, they experienced a certain level of discipline from us as far as like how we presented ourselves. We experienced and observed a certain level of discipline from them. I'm talking about specifically Gorilla Mainframe as an element of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, right? And Rakim Balagoon taught us, showed us um, cadence with firearms. You know what I'm saying? He taught us how to do that. For the most part, in the Bay Area or in California in particular, we do cadence and drills, military drills, left face, right face. You know what I'm saying? Um, we do this, following in the footsteps of, Malcolm X with the development of the fruit of Islam, the Black Panther Party, or even going back to the Black Legion of Marcus Garvey, right? You know what I'm saying? This is the element of confrontational politics, of showing the presence of unity and paramilitary possibility, the potential violence of paramilitary structure when you walk in the formation and do these cadences and drills. That's why we try to tell comrades to sharpen up on your drills, your left face, your right face, and move it as a unit. We usually do that with 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 understanding of hand to hand combat as an element of our response. But he taught us how to port arms, parade rest, stuff like that. He taught us how to do that. That's something that he directly had taught us. You feel me? You feel me? So that's all I can say. Like shit, we got hands-on experience from just like as soon as we met each other, it was about learning, education, and practical ways to raise consciousness through observation and participation of the black community. Black power.
Black
Black
power.
power. Brother Sean,
Yes, sir.
we understand the label of somebody somebody got some background noise going on, so I guess that might be somebody that's in the feed. So if you're lower in the feed, go ahead and mute your phone. So Brother Rashawn, we understand that black men and women have been labeled as black identity extremists.
Of
And
course, right.
Brother Rakim was one of the first to receive that specific title that came up under the Donald Trump administration. Why do
Right.
you think it is? Why do you think it is that he was the first comrade that was targeted as far as being a black identity extremist?
To be honest with you, and to put it in a nutshell, is to make an example. Out of him to the rest of what we call paramilitary, black paramilitary units out here. If they can take one known militia personnel and lock them in the dungeons, that's a means to try to scare everyone. The same thing they're doing to, Grandmaster Jay. They always use people as an example, man. It's like to get other Negroes afraid. That's my perception of why they did it, because it's nothing viable to why they locked him up. He didn't commit no crimes. He didn't commit a terrorist act. He didn't use no terroristic words. So the only conclusion I can come up with is that they use him because he has a name. He has an identity out there, and they use that to make an example, which what they do with any one of us that has a name out here. And to say that, I mean, to say something to follow that, it can be one of us. We never know. They don't have to necessarily just go by what you say. It's like they take little videos or a picture still shot, and they try to weave a web to trump up some charges. And that's what they do. I mean, we've seen a long history of that. As long as we've seen the Black Power movements rise up, we know that the government is known for that. That's a tactic that they do. They've been doing this for decades. They've been doing it before I was born. They've been doing it before all of us was born. You know what I'm saying? That's on this platform. But this is what they do, man. They just use them as an example, and that's a fear tactic. The white man got many tactics to how he operate his racism, white supremacy, and fear is one of them. So that's why I think that's why they targeted him.
So same thing with you, Brother Afi. Where does this whole black identity extremist platform come from? When we understand, since we've been living in this country, there's always been a white supremacist identity and extremism been going on. So we've been here. So what was the purpose whole labeling of the black identity extremist?
Black power. I think the labeling of the black identity extremists arose out of the fear of the Black Lives Matter phenomenon growing into a greater black liberation movement. I'm gonna repeat that. It arose out of the fear of the Black Lives Matter phenomenon developing into the greater black liberation movement. Notice the words, the BLM. Um, the black liberation, the term Black Lives Matter. No disrespect to anybody who may have came from that school of thought or that practice or that wave of consciousness. But even our elder comrade Elaine Brown, one of the actually who held a chairman position of the Black Panther Party at one point, she said that the Black Lives Matter does not represent what the Black Panther Party or the Black Liberation Movement meant back then. Um, because even the term Black Lives Matter, it's more of a pleading, subservient. Like I said, it's more of a non-violent type of philosophy. And sometimes there's a place for that too. There is a place for civil disobedience, direct action, to where could expose the how violent they react to your nonviolence, to garner more support and more sympathy for the international community who might not be awakening to that. But there's another international community of revolutionary vanguard paramilitary people who are looking at us on the inside of America and expecting us or anticipating us to fight back. Because the moment that we fight back and kick up dust over here, you feel me, and meet the eye for an eye, the tooth for a tooth, a limb for a limb, and a life for a life, it eases up the repression on an international scale when global forces are oppressing people of color and oppress people all over the world. You feel me? Because well, I can't say they can't fight. They can't fight. No, I'm talking about the U.S. imperialism, the arms of U.S. imperialism. I ain't gonna say that they can't fight two wars at once, but it's hella difficult for them to fight two wars at once. So we push the term, you know what I'm saying, to bring the war home. And Rakim Balagoon being a veteran, you know what I'm saying? Like we got waves of black veterans who served in Desert Storm and Afghanistan, and you know what I'm saying? In the same manner that back then in the 1970s and 60s when the Vietnam War was taking place, when they were fighting the Vietnamese people, and these brothers was dying in large numbers, and the Vietnamese people was leaving letters on dead soldiers telling black men to, this is not your war, go home, fight, you feel me? Black man, this is not your war, join the Black Panther Party, you feel me? And even Huey P. Newton at one point had offered to to give troops to fight on the side of Vietnamese, you know what I'm saying? But the Vietnamese responded like, y'all would help us a lot more kicking up dust on the inside, you feel me? Because you guys are represent a nation within a nation. So I think that's one of the reasons why they targeted Rakim Balagoon so much, because of what he represents. He represents like the awakened black veteran that is arming the masses of black people with knowledge of armed self-defense, and hopefully, and armed struggle when it comes to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but the black identity extremist is just a carry on of of the the COINTELPRO. They even try to revise the. I don't know if people are aware, but they revised the black identity extremists. They kind of separated in categories. I wrote an article about it not too long ago. They tried to create it into. They took the race out, so it'd be like racially motivated criminals, or racially motivated or ideological motivated extremists. That's the term that they'll use now within their categories. And anybody who wants to exercise a certain level of sovereignty or speaking out against Zionism and Jewish and imperialism from the Hebrews or over there, anybody who speaks out against that and are proclaiming Africans in America or abroad as descendants of the original Hebrews, when you proclaim to be that, you'll be considered as a black identity extremist. I gotta test on these details because people think that if you're not pushing no paramilitary line, that you won't fall into these categories. So it's out of state, out of mind. You feel me? If they don't feel like it affects them, and I'm trying to get people to understand that no matter what you do, they consider you a black identity extremist if you are an activist against against white supremacy on any level. You feel me? From food, clothing, shelter, education, prison, industrial complex, healthcare, anything, you could be considered that. So if you don't help combat that by supporting the political prisoners or the people who are first being targeted, then nobody's gonna be able to support you when you get targeted by that shit, because they're coming for you next. You feel me? Black Power.
Brother Sims, if you could further expound on that, and then Brother Nat Turner.
Well, I'm sorry, you said me?
Yeah, can
My
you further
apologies.
expound on that?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Actually, what I actually did want to add on to that in regards to him saying us being a nation within a nation. Um, there's a higher level of political science that we need to get to, which is sovereignty. But we need to go through it through the proper processes in regards to gaining our sovereignty through rights to self determination. You know, I feel like a lot of us, at the end of the day, our political programs are used to, whether it be the Hugh P. Newton Gun Club political platform or whether it be the Black Riders Black Commune program. Those political platforms are used to organize us on a local and regional level so that we can have weight in regards to dealing with the political process in our community. But as far as rights to self determination, I have been training and working with Elena Porter, who is an international human rights representative, who is teaching us how to go through the process of rights to self determination. And the three documents that I would recommend that all comrades like get into studying, so you can have sort of an inclination of international human rights law, which would be the International Bill of Human Rights, the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, and the Vienna Declaration and Program of Action. All of those documents codify self determination and allow us to actually organize in our own communities, to create councils, so we can actually start approaching these representatives and saying, any capital coming into our community, any resources coming into our community, you have to speak and go through us and deal with us accordingly. And if you don't deal with us accordingly, then we will sue you on international United Nations court. So these are in regards to comrade saying we're a nation within a nation. We need to dealing with these other nations as such. Sometimes we be a little. I understand because we have a lot of things going on a local level. So sometimes it's hard to stay up with international politics because we have so much going on in our regional areas. But we need to make sure whether we're compartmentalizing some comrades to be studying on this, or if we ourselves are studying it ourselves, we need to make sure we're pushing that international political front, like the comrade said, with us kicking dust up over here, so that the international proletariats that we're trying to have solidarity with, they can see that we're actually taking the proper steps, not only on the military front, but also on the political front. Black Power.
Black Power. Brother Nat Turner, can you hear us?
Right on. Okay.
Yeah, can you expound on that, brother? I mean, we live in a nation with that is completely white supremacist, but they label us as black identity extremists. Can you explain to the people why it's necessary for the imperialists to label the black man who is searching for freedom as such an extreme individual?
Yeah, right on. Yeah, brother was actually hitting on it. Things that come to mind, just the the back in the '60s, in particularly the Black Panther Party, that kind of television program, racially motivated identity extremists. You know what I'm saying? The term they use, to isolate the Black Panther Party. But the first thing come to mind, switching terminology, switching classifications, to make it Black identity extreme. And so the first thing, the white called white or the dominant group are known. The first objective is to create a racially motivated by saying Black identity extremists. So therefore, to first and foremost to strike fear in white America. It's sort of like a Machiavellian tactic when he was teaching the so-called prince how to maintain his position, how to keep his holdings, or how to stay safe. Every now and again, you create this boogeyman effect, and that's what the people gravitate to even more. And your target becomes isolated in a sense. He ends up on his own. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. You scare white people into this Black identity extreme. When you say extreme, people go to extreme measures to accomplish things. And so to throw certain segments of Black America into the extreme label, get them to appear to be real rootless, the so-called reverse racism, this Black. You know what I'm saying? So the second part, and that's due to the fact because there will be some whites, every now and then come along, develops a type of revolutionary thought of militancy, simply because of the class struggle that the Europeans have always had. It's historic. It's had these contradictions. And so even during physical slavery, John Brown, these certain individuals that fell out with, the white ruling class then. So these whites come along with absolutes. Every now and then, one or two of them come along. Or you see people like Marilyn Buck, people of that nature, who allies of comrades of the Black Panther Party. And so that's the first order. But then, they play upon the vulnerabilities of Black people because of the way leadership has been painted, the way it's been structured in this country, a sort of orchestrated mechanism, something well put together on the heels of physical ending of physical slavery. Be very careful terminology used when instead of ending slavery. We talk about the ending of physical slavery and then an extension of it in a much more sophisticated form. So the Reconstruction, Jim Crow, whatnot, to keep slavery going. And so coming on the heels of that, they're anticipating these things of falling apart, such as physical slavery. So they're able to carefully construct and manufacture Black leadership, thinking futuristic. So Booker T. Washington's and these little known things that these unknown things that Black people not particularly made aware of. People like the Carnegie family, the Rockefeller family, the Harriman family, this old age of the robber baron families of the 1880s and on into the 1910s and 20s. And so the country, a Black leadership, because they look at the laws of nature and see, even George Washington said, he feared or he shuddered knowing that God is just, because he knew that what they had done, then in the future, then there would be some blowback onto his descendants. This is where we at today. I'm saying? So there's certain of us who have slipped through the cracks in terms of revolutionary consciousness. And the Black Panther Party pretty much like laid down a foundation, so they're the blueprint, the 10-point program, and the way they were able to transcend understanding the knowledge of what we like to refer to as the public school system, and go beyond, thinking beyond the box. So they were able to study revolutionary struggles all around the world. Oppressed people, they began to use the language, Mao Zedong, Che Guevara, Castro. They began to understand the contradictions dealing with imperialism, and the whims of capitalism is what? The profit motive. Capitalism is his Bible. You know what I'm saying? And so due to that, certain elements within Black America began to understand that. And that's what made them potent. That's what made them dangerous. It wasn't necessarily calling the white man the devil. You know what I'm saying? He already understands who his nature is. He knows that he's this is Black man up on the planet. But it's when they went beyond that, began to understand his daily operation. And so that's what set people like you look up A. Brown when he started off on Slick, student nonviolent coordinator committee. What he did was when he became the chairman, he changed that nonviolent into student national coordinator committee because he understood what force was. These things about handing people concessions and stuff like that. So it was a sort of a battle in ideology. And so if you look at the organization, the formations that was going on back then, the ones that we're familiarized with, in particular the NAACP, the SCLC, Student Nonviolent, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, headed by Martin Luther King, CORE, Congress of Racial Equality, and so forth, Urban League. And so you take those groups, you place them on one side, and then Black Panther Party, Rebel Action Movement. Bobby Seale come out of that. The Republic of Africa, Dr. Obadeli. They're understanding the legacy of slavery and the capital that was accumulated off the backs of Black people. So therefore, since the Southern Belt was the hub, then they had materialized the Southern Belt and accumulated capital. So therefore, by right, free labor, and we the descendants, so to declare that the Southern Belt could become a new African republic. You see what I'm saying? And so it's that kind of ideology. I've had the opportunity to rap with some of these OGs of Republic of Africa, and one of the things they made known was that during the summertime, there was more access to the youth. And so they would come up with these strategies and tactics to remove certain individuals from the community, from the side for 3 months, because the school was out. And so they would go to such extreme lengths. One of them told me they got him on the weed charge. What they did was they got a magnifying glass. They used a magnifying glass to try to see the residue on the nightstand and gave him a weed charge. So these are the tactics that they use. In the meantime, and it is what it's not personal, it's story. So we understand leaders have been certain access to the media 24 hours around the clock. And so, the white liberalism, things of that nature. So the ones that wasn't falling for, they were going for the old dope, who understood the philosophy of revolutionary ideology of George Jackson. He said one of the most crucial lines would say, victory comes when you change the criminal mentality to the revolutionary mentality. And so that type of understanding is in the specific sort of a label, a title, a classification, and place that on those individuals, to scare the rest of the populace away from these individuals. And so therefore you will isolate them, which is the first tactic, before you eliminate them. You have to isolate them, you know what I'm saying? And then you eliminate them. Once you isolate them, then the people see it, but they're caught up on civil, they think these is extreme. It's extreme to be black and be revolutionary. It's extreme to be black revolutionary and express your so-called right to bear arms under this so-called system. So it's these extreme things to do. It takes on a different connotation. So white boys can walk around with AR-15s and go into McDonald's, go on to Walmart, and it's cool. A black man couldn't do that, without being some type of threat. You know what I'm saying? So this is where they come. And you look at Brother Rakim, to my understanding, militarily trained. And so it's a personal vendetta. Because we didn't train you to come out from under our control, such things as they call the wet board. Somebody who's in the military and they so-called snap or they went beyond certain measures, and so therefore it's a personal vendetta against them, because they understand that the knowledge, the tactics they can use, that they instilled in him, and he would take that and convert it into something else, like Geronimo Pratt did. Vietnam, and whatnot. It was because of his understanding that they was able to survive that shootout. In LA, you know what I'm saying? And so this is why they have to use black identity treatment. So to transfer it now, we're the modern day descendants. Kevin Fred Jr., formerly of prisoners conscious committee, the Black Panther Cubs, referred to them as the Panther Cubs. It's a continual legacy, it's a protracted war, a protracted struggle. Its process is to create these certain things, target certain of us, and like I said earlier, some of us can't catch a regular flight. Some of us with no fly. You know what I'm saying? Can't get on the plane and fly. You know what I'm saying? But it's politicize the people, to heighten the people's awareness. You know what I'm saying? But there's more people in the streets and the community. And I want to say this here too. It's very, very important. They got their own man that specialize in gangs, what they call gangs. You know, we refer to as street tribes, but they got their own special man. Dr. George Knox, he wrote a paper called Gangs, Guerrilla Warfare, and Social Conflict. And in this paper, he concludes that there's pretty much no difference between the American military and the gangs, is that one has turned violence to a scientific form, and it's conscious and it's organized. Yeah. The data the so-called gangs do with America Day is number. And this is in their own documents, you know what I'm
saying? I got you. Hey, one quick second, brother Afi. One quick second. I got a question for Rashawn, and then I want you and Brother Sims to follow up on some ideological perspective. So, Brother Rashawn, my question for you is, with these labels being put out there, there's a lot of people that are in fear of joining organizations like the Black Riders Liberation Party. They're in fear of joining organizations like the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Gun Club, the New Black Panther Party. What would you say to these comrades who are showing this fear to join the liberation movement and to join our struggle as a whole?
This is something I say all the time. I talk about it with the comrades a lot. First off, we know that when we see those uniforms on and those berets and the paramilitary uniforms, people feel that they become a target. But what I always do is tell people, man, as long as your skin is black, you already wearing a uniform. You was born with a uniform with that black skin. We look at the most innocent people, man, like Tamir Rice. We can go to Michael Brown. You're going to be a target regardless. So since we already naturally a target, we have to suck up those fears, you know? I try to encourage people why we have to have courage, because we have children that look at us, man. So the children follow what they see, not what they hear, what they see. And if we display of image of courage and always let them see pictures of us, man, like how we stand up to the police. Those are powerful pictures. How you can see black men and women standing up to the police and A, B, and C. We use those things to the images to show people like, man, how can I do that? You know, you inspire people when you do the most drastic and the most extreme things sometimes, not being out of stupidity, but when you do things out of bravery, when you show people, man, how you know how to exercise power, those are the little means to kind of give them courage. All that's to get rid of the fear part. Also, I always try to make myself an example. I try to make sure that I show a display of courage. That's one thing. I have to show a display of courage, and I have to honestly be courageous at all times. Doesn't matter what the situation is. If I have to defend one of my brothers here or any child on the street, whether it be from, um, a suspected white supremacy, a suspected white supremacist or a police officer, I always made a promise to myself, if it's necessary, I have to do what I have to do. And I'm trying to be careful on this platform as well, because we know we're on this white man's platform. So I'm being careful with my choice of words. But I say, man, the image is the reason why we do the gun marches and the reason why we go out and about and we display these images is to encourage the people. When we go out into these small neighborhoods, sometimes we do a local armed patrol. You can just hear the people, man. You can see the excitement in them, but you can see the look on their faces. And they have this, it's like a real life superhero aura to it, because it's like, man, I always hear like, man, I ain't never seen a black person do that before. That's an indication, that they never seen black folks in this day and time. Still, we've been doing it for decades, but they still not used to seeing black folks display what we call power. And I always tell people, when you chant the words black power, you not just say black power, but you have to show black power. You have to put that into action. You know what I'm saying? And the brother earlier, I forgot his name, the Black Rider brother, man. My bad, brother, I forgot your name. He said something that it's not always paramilitary, and that's true. I always say stuff like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, how as a female has so much courage to debate a lot of these white folks and let them know who they truly are in their nature. And this is a woman, man, a courageous woman, a warrior come in all forms. It's not just paramilitary. Sometimes it's the psychology. That's one thing I talk about with the comrades, is the psychology. Two, to get rid of that fear. And when I bring them in, ask the comrades. The last 2 or 3 trainings we had, we talked about the mental. The physical is one thing. That's 10%. 90% is the mental. And I talk about, how to train your mental to build up your courage. It takes some time. Some people are not as fast as others into having courage. Some people would never get courage, unfortunately. But some if you hang around them enough and you bring them around you enough and bring them into the family of this Pan-African movement, you can kind of encourage them. You bringing them around a different presence because they're used to something else. So that's how I use that strategy from the heart to ease that fear or erase that fear, by displaying courage. I have to display it. As all of us on here as leaders, we always have to display courage. And that rubs off. They say an attitude rubs off on people. Well, we have to choose a real courage attitude to rub off on others. So when they see that we can do it, it gives them confidence. So that's the best way that I go about that. Trying to ease the fear away from thinking that they can't do this or they can't do that.
Okay, Black Power, brother. This is what we're gonna do. I want you to hold on for a minute so you can give your closing comments. I'm about to ask brother Sims and brother Afi this next question because I think it's going to be very important. But don't hang up. We're gonna be getting ready to get off of here in the next few minutes. But I want you to give your closing statements of what our people need to hear. So just hang on, brother comrade. Brother Afi, brother Sim. So this question is basically for you, comrades. Um, we have so many ideological beliefs, whether it be Pan Africanism, whether it be socialist Pan Africanism, whether it be Black nationalism, whether it be communalism, whether it be African communalism, with all of our people divided up in all of these different social ideologies, us as Black people in this country, how do we put our differences to the side and do the work as a Black revolution unit? Again, separated by all these different religions. We're separated by all these different cultures that a lot of us created. But how do we put the differences to the side so that we're basically able to help our people in the most effective way? Either
Would you
one of
like
you
to
can
answer
go
that?
first.
Would
Go
you
ahead,
like to
brother.
answer that, comrade?
Yeah, and then when you're done, brother Afi, can you expound on it? Go ahead, brother Sims.
Okay. Basically, I'm gonna first give you a little bit synopsis of our ideology within the Black Rider Liberation Party. Um, our ideology stems from Huey P. Newton's intercommunalism, but the Central Committee of the Black Riders added on to it because they realized we still needed Pan Africanism and Black nationalism as the forefront of us dealing with our problems. So our ideology is dealing with African intercommunalism, which anytime you're deconstructing an ideology or a thought process, you want to deconstruct it by its principles. So that way you're not getting confused with the name itself and thinking that the name itself is not connected to the lexical definition. So like I said, our ideology of African intercommunalism, the principles of that are dealing with Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism, and internationalism. As a comrade Eda Ref just put me on where he said that's Black Riders theology, or Black liberation theology. So when we're dealing with that, you understand that the whole point of an ideology is actually to bring people closer together. It's actually very interesting how a lot of us will get into some communist socialist books, and instead of coming to a sense of unity, you come to a sense of dogmatism because you're thinking that everything should be applied in the way applied in the book. We got to realize that, our context here in America is completely different. That's why Huey P. Newton had to synthesize the ideology of intercommunalism to realize that our circumstances here in America are extremely different than a lot of these third world countries. It's not so much as obviously we do have proletariats and we do have bourgeoisies here, but like I said, the context of some proletariats and some bourgeoisies will be extremely different. So when we're dealing with trying to get everyone to unify, if you have a different ideology, I would just say deconstruct it by its principles. And if you can see that a person's principles are similar to yours, as General would say, our General Taco, he would say, focus more on what we have in common rather than what we have that's different. You know, like if I know a person's a communist or a socialist, you know, I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. So you know about the labor value theory. All right, let's talk about that. You know, if I know you're a Pan-Africanist, I'm like, oh, okay, well, you already on Garvey's mindset. I ain't got to worry too much about you being jacked up with disunity because certain ideologies, the principles themselves will not allow you to be on a disunified mindset. You know, like for instance, I would even say with African intercommunalists, it's almost impossible for us to not be on a unity basis because the principles of our IG, we have to be unified. So I think that's also a point to be made is that look at the principles of their ideology before we say like, oh, just because their ideology is different, I can't unite. I feel like that's a big thing that we'll look at for surface value. And then also making sure that we understand that the ideological front is the first front that needs to be conquered before anything else. You know, Amir Cabral said it himself best. He said that there's been revolutions that had good ideologies that failed, but there has never been a revolution without an ideology. So, you know, the ideological front is very, very important. Black Power.
Brother Afi, can you expound on that?
Black Power, yeah, I panther back on that, man. Basically, uh, you know, you gotta blend theory with practice. You know what I'm saying? Ideology without your practice ain't shit. You feel me? And whatever your ideology is, you need to know that shit and study that shit and memorize it and integrate it with your daily activities and lifestyle. Because if you don't, you won't even find the common objectives that other people have that could even line up with yours. You feel me? It's easy for some of us as Black Riders to push a unity line because of the foundation of our organization coming up out of the unification of street tribes. I won't say it's easy, but because it's hella hard. You know what I'm saying? But it's damn near elemental. It's on paper. You feel me? It's when you read the documents of what it is to be a Black Rider and from the mini manual to the everything, or you know whatever your organization is, if you look at that and know if you know your line, then you can present your line, and then the other people can present their line, and whenever one of your lines not intersects, because people push this concept called intersectionality, and I don't really rock with that. I blow that shit out the water. I think shit should roll parallel, and we can attack the war on different fronts. You know what I'm saying? However, if your line is going in the same direction with another line, no matter if it is different, then that's a way of unifying. You feel me? You have Jill Taco said, you know, you have compartmentalization on one hand, and then you have mediation on another hand. The mediation, when you have organizations that have conflicting ideology and methods and shit, and they always conflict. So when you got that type of shit, people need to address what they have, and then deal with their specific lane, and then be in their own lane, because there's different lanes of striking the oppressor. You feel me? And it don't, because sometimes when y'all too united, y'all contradictions brush in with each other. I know you mentioned you know, I ain't gonna go into that. What I'm saying is some comrades, because we're so close to each other and because we work together, and you know what I'm saying, our personalities clash sometimes. But when you're compartmentalized, when you have this section, this section, this section, this section, all working for a common goal, and you have your division of labor, distribution of tasks already solidified to the point where people know what they're supposed to do, but also flexible enough to move and be fluid and to do different things at once. You know what I'm saying? We want the officers to train the men and the officers to train the soldiers. You know what I'm saying? We don't want it to be, we got to completely turn ourselves into cadres. not to isolate yourself with, oh, I'm administrative, so I'm gonna just focus on administrative. Yeah, focus on the administrative, but also learn from the soldiers, because if they try to isolate the soldiers, you're not gonna be able to even train no other soldiers. You feel me? Whether you're a soldier or not, you at least you could train other soldiers based off of what you've experienced from your complementary soldiers, not your not your contradictory soldiers, but the soldiers that you're working with. So, for example, like Comrade mentioned the Black Riders Liberation Party ideology of African intercommunalism, and one of them is one of those pillars, like he just mentioned, was Black liberation theology. Religion is a big division within the Black Power community. You know what I'm saying? And on most of these platforms, when they debate philosophy and religion, it seems hella divisive. You know what I'm saying? But really, most of these concepts, whether you Nation of Gods or Earth, Nation of Islam, there's different schools of thought from Elijah Muhammad, or different schools of thought from the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, or different teachings from different roots of the teachings of Father Allah or Drew Ali, Father Allah, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The Hebrew Israelites. Even the Hebrew Israelites got so many different. You got one West here, you got this there. But, one common thing is understanding the fighting against the oppression and white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. If you know that, then you know that you could align anybody who you could align or respect or acknowledge somebody who's doing similar. You know what I'm saying? There's many differences that we can come up with, but you know what I'm saying? You will see if the Nation of Islam is getting attacked by the state. You feel me? The Black Riders, we gonna speak against that shit. You feel me? Huey P. Newton gun, motherfuckers gonna go against that shit. I remember when motherfuckers Bears, that racist group trying to run up on the Nation of Islam out there in Dallas. And you see how y'all came, you know what I'm saying? Y'all came, and the Nation of Islam, for the most part, don't believe in openly carrying arms. But you feel me? Whatever they believed in or not, y'all came in defense of that, and the whole community came in defense and ran them white boys up out of there. You feel me? That is an example of the common unity of, you know what I'm saying, when people just say being on code, you know what I'm saying? Grandmaster Jay uses that term a lot, being on code. You know what I'm saying? We could have our infighting or whatever, but when it comes to this beast, bro, you feel me? All that shit gotta get put to an end. You know what I'm saying? Or not necessarily put to the end, because we just gotta be able to identify whether these contradictions are antagonistic or non-antagonistic. And most of the internal contradictions are non-antagonistic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Black Power.
Black Power.
Okay, man. I appreciate you, comrades, man. So I'm gonna put you on hold for just a quick second, and I want you guys to come back with your closing statements. One thing I can say about the Black Riders Liberation Party is that you guys study and you know what you're talking about. So I think you are the example to what a lot of these organizations need to be doing as far as the ideological studies, man. So I salute you. I salute Comrade Taco on you guys getting the political education, on you guys setting aside the time to actually do the research. So salute, man. So you guys just hang on for a second, and I'll get right back with you with your closing thoughts.
Yes, sir.
So can we go ahead and put up Shango information? We haven't discussed Brother Shango, another one of our political prisoners. If we can just put up Brother Shango's picture and let the people know who Brother Shango is. And we'll get ready to close this out. Brother, I see Brother Taco is still in the feed, so we're gonna let him close out as well. Brother Shango of South Carolina has. There we go. That's our comrade. You can support Brother Shango at $ Taisha, Tyeesha, Ake, Aike, Taisha Ake. Brother Shango, who is a political prisoner in South Carolina. So if you got $5, send them to the brother. If you got $10, $20, if you got 100, support our comrades that are locked up behind enemy lines, man. That responsibility falls on all of us. I appreciate Brother Najee Muhammad for coming on, who was also a political prisoner. Now he's free, and he's back with his family. We were having technical difficulties with him at first, but the brother is out. Shout out to Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz of the New Black Panther Party, who had the fundraiser for Brother Najee. You know, Malik got the bread, man. He could have paid for it out of his pocket. But here's the thing, man. The people have to be responsible for our political prisoners as well. When somebody get locked up, you can't just expect individuals to come out of their pocket, man. The only way we're going to get over the hump and the support that we really need is for us to come together as a collective. So you, the people, are the ones who got Brother Najee free and back on the ground. Now let's support the rest of these political prisoners who are also locked up and who are also in bondage. So we're going to go through the comrades that are still online. We're going to let them have their closing discussions as far as the political prisoners movement, and we're going to go ahead and close this out, man. So we're also going to leave the cash apps in the comments. So if you come back and you view this this live later, that you will have access to send these comrades some type of monetary funds. So let me go in, Brother Nat Turner.
Yeah, right on.
Brother Nat, go ahead and give us your closing statements, brother, and we're gonna get out of here.
Right on, yeah. Man, glad to be a part of this, you know what I'm saying? First and foremost. They all our brothers, no matter what. So political prisoners of conscience. And that's it's a phenomenon that take place in all revolutionary struggles. Let you know that you must have been doing something right. You know what I'm saying? In order to end up in such a situation, we had to support these brothers. You know what I'm saying? The sisters, whatever, who become political prisoners due to their political views. Real liberation. No there's abstract notions of freedom that have been fed to our people. You know what I'm saying, and whether whoever they are, you know what I'm saying, the ideology, what have you. Because the one thing that they're proven to us, whether we're black nationalists, Pan Africanists, or African socialists, or what have you, 5% or whatever, the one thing that they're proven is that your ass is in prison. You know what I'm saying? They didn't take anything else in consideration but your attitude toward the state, which is a contradiction. It's just opposed to the state. The enemy is white world supremacy in general. Capitalism under its form of operation to exploit black and brown people in particular. You know what I'm saying? Even turn them inside out and benefit from that in itself. You know what I'm saying? So, we say black power and all power to the people. You know what I'm saying? Right on.
We thank you for your support. And again, like we said earlier, we look forward to working with you again in the near future. And man, let's spread the word. When we get off of here, let's spread this live. Let's go to the different groups and let's get support for those brothers that are behind enemy lines. Again, Brother Nat Turner, We appreciate you logging in, comrade.
Right on, brother. Right on. Straight up.
Comrade Afi, can you give us your closing dialogue as far as political prisoners and what our support means to them, brother?
Black Power, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, man. Our support it means everything right now because without the support of the soldiers, um, it kind of like it proves the it proves that the Black liberation movement could be stopped by incarceration. It proves that uh, it makes it to where the sacrifice that the soldiers make um, is is null and void. You know what I'm saying? George Jackson teaches us that you know um, we gotta create a method to where the state can understand or we understand that the concentration camp method won't work on us. You know, if they think that they could just lock us up and then the resistance stops. You know what I'm saying? That's another key. Like um, a lot of the times, a lot of comrades they're incarcerated, and they feel forgot about and things like that. They need letters, of course. They need support. They need finances, but they need you to just write them, just the birthday cards and things like that, because they're trying to isolate them. You know what I mean? Um, the different types of political prisoners. When you have prisoners who are targeted for the political police, and they're pretty much like sabotaged, not sabotaged, but they're framed. But there are also other forms of revolutionary leaders um, that are targeted, and they have actually carried out revolutionary activity that is considered is illegal. You know what I'm saying? Even though they got to prove that through the court of law. You know what I'm saying? And we will utilize the judicial system and the court system as a platform of demonstration to show to push people's power, so we can use the law in our favor and utilize the contradictions within the court system to free our comrades and bring them back home, or expose the contradictions of how unfair they treat us and how unjust the system is, which will really push us to the level of beyond relying on the system for anything, specifically the judicial system. It'll lead us to more other activities to where we take the Asada Shakur approach of liberating our comrades. You feel me? Because even to this day, that the Asada Shakur situation is the highest level of victory when it comes to political prisoners and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They still got a bounty on her to this day, and she almost 80 something years old. You know what I'm saying? And they upped that bounty when when Barack Obama, the chocolate colored white boy, was in office. You know what I'm saying? And in touch with that, they was able to push another international thing to suppressing Muammar Gaddafi and the struggle with Libya, and they're developing the different currency and not yielding to the central bank. I'm saying all of this because this shit that's happening here is affecting what's happening all over the globe. So we have to be aware of the international ramifications of what we're doing here. If we give up here, we give up on Africa. You can't say, "Oh, you're a Pan Africanist and you have all this African culture right here." We have descendants of Africans over here who are struggling for the liberation and pretty much independent nationalization of people here, of the African descendants who are mixtures of the the greatest civilizations and empire. We're a mix. The African descendants in Americas we're a mixture of the greatest empires that have been destroyed and imported over here. You know what I'm saying? From the Benin to the to ancient to Akan, to all of these different things. And I know there seems to be somewhat of a disconnect between the Africans diaspora and the continental Africans, but those same contradictions occur between each other and ourselves out here when it's the house Negro and the field Negro. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to highlight one of my comrades, the comrades who we have on the list. This is a close comrade, a comrade who I trained, and a comrade who was recruited to our organization by one of our comrades, Comrade King Samir Shabazz, man. He go by the name of Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? Now, Muhammad Ali, he's an MMA fighter. He's a physical fitness trainer and instructor and the author of a book, actually. This comrade has been consistent, a thorn in the enemy's back. He brought, so in the Bay Area, in Oakland, California, we have a small suburb outside of the Bay Area called Antioch. And they're gentrifying Oakland, and a lot of black people are moving to these places. And there's a lot of, public housing and things like that. You know what I'm saying? This dude has been organizing those outside areas, doing what we call the Watch a Pig program, where we observe the pigs. It's pretty much the modern day community alert patrol for the original Black Panther Party. This brother has mobilized this shit to the point where, you feel me, and I gotta talk about it. Because the police, the pigs, you feel me, in California, they so crooked, certain things, certain certain contradictions that happen to cover their back, they'll drop the cases because they were in the wrong. You feel me? Which leads to countersuits and all of that. But I'm talking about like officers have been disarmed for trying to use aggression against people, you feel me, under the watch and the circles of certain people. You know what I'm saying? And this brother is no stranger to that. So because of this, he was highly surveilled. There became within our communications and information network, it came across the board, came across the desk of Comrade Captain Muhammad Ali, who earned the name Muhammad Ali because of MMA, boxing. You know what I'm saying? That was the African name he chose because he looked up to Muhammad Ali as a figure of using his the platform of athleticism to push his revolutionary thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So he wanted to embody the spirit of that ancestor, and that's why he chose that name. Or that's what really he earned that name, because people gave him that name before he started going along with it. It came across the desk that there was a known rapist / pedophile in the community, where in a certain community that he frequently patrols. So that rapist was discovered. The whole community pretty much was involved with escorting him from the premises. And he street justice was taken into action. This rapist he suffered a fractured skull. Because my comrade was under the surveillance, you know what I'm saying? They basically they got evidence of him being at the scene. You know what I'm saying? So they attacked him. They attacked him and put him as the ringleader of it. And initially it charged him with attempted murder of this rapist, this pedophile. Because of the type of damage that was done to him, because he was severely damaged, as people like that should be dealt with in the law of the people's law. That type of shit should be exercised. it should have been a little bit further, but we made the law when we got the lawyer. We made the law. The law had to prove all that. Wasn't saying what we wasn't doing, but what he did do, what he didn't do, whatever did, they had to prove it. As the case unfolded, it became highly impossible to prove at least non-participation, and without him having to cooperate on anybody else. So he basically pleaded not guilty to a lower charge of aggravated assault, because it was at the point where he was either to go be serving 14 years or 7 years and serve 85% of it. And this is his first charge. Well, his first charge that wasn't dropped. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so he was found. They convicted him. He acknowledges it as a badge of honor of avenging the black woman, avenging the honor of black women who were highly targeted for rape, highly targeted for human trafficking, and highly targeted for pedophilia. In the era of the whole black men don't protect black women notion. There's a notion. There's this narrative that's been perpetuated even throughout the whole Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion situation, right? But here we are. I know a comrade directly incarcerated right now because of just the inkling of that. You know what I'm saying? Of the possibility of that. Now, let me say again. They didn't really prove that he did it, but it was hard for him to prove that he wasn't there. And proof that any other proof they would have made him. The only way he could get out of it was to try to tell on somebody else, and that's what he wasn't. He wasn't trying. He wasn't participating on that level. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't believe in doing that. So he took the case on the chin. You know what I'm saying? The 85% with 7 years, 3 years with time served, 3.5 some years with time served. He probably looking at another 2 or 3 more years. So this is a comrade that will be coming home soon, but we still need to support him. You feel me? And the way we can support him is he has a manual, a physical fitness training manual that is for sale. We're selling this for $25. A large proceed of this will be, and I say a large proceed because I got to show some type of transparency, because when it comes to raising money for political prisoners, it seems to be very controversial. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, I got to be very, very transparent. You know what I'm saying? But even while he's incarcerated, he still got a family to feed. So it'll be going towards his family, it'll be going towards him, and it'll be going towards him manufacturing more copies of these, and even advancing his physical fitness manual from newer things that he's learned inside prison. I think he's also developing. He currently developed a financial literacy study group inside prison right now that he's working with. So he's also developing. See, the shit didn't stop with him incarcerated. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, when he went in knowing what he was gonna do, and he recruited inside there. You know what I'm saying? And the fact, and because of when you start recruiting and organizing inside there, you get attacked even further more, like what happened with Hannibal. You feel me? Or what happened with, you feel me, with Grandmaster Jay. You know what I'm saying? They just try to transfer Grandmaster Jay to another facility to prohibit and try to isolate him and to stop. And you know, Grandmaster Jay got verbals, man. He's very charismatic. He's a charismatic speaker. You know, and most of the targeting for Grandmaster Jay, before I get back to Bumblebee Ali, was because of his teaching. Like, they try to ban his YouTube. It wasn't just because he marched on Stone Mountain, which was the largest armed demonstration. You feel me? The black people, not even just black people, like ever. You feel me? On American soil. You feel me? And then you had the Louisville, Kentucky. What he marched 2 times, and one of them You know, that was the first time was when he caught the case. You feel me? For displaying a flashlight on his rifle to somebody who was on the rooftop who could have been a sniper or whatever. I watched the live stream when one of the first happened, and they had somebody seen somebody on the roof, and the brother had pretty much gave people the call, like, you feel me, if that person don't get off the roof, man, you know, we gonna have to take we gonna have to take action. And he, by the time he got the suit, whoever that was on the roof got the fuck off. And I heard the click click clackety clack clack, like that type of shit. The staccato of the clicking of the guns was the vibration of that spirit and soul is it's like a mantra. It's like it's a spiritual thing that strikes fear in the hearts of our enemy, like the Zulus clapping their motherfucking spears against their shield when they was fighting the enemy. You know what I'm saying? And these crackers are scared as fuck, bro. They hella scared. So yeah, I'm just saying that's why we were getting targeted. I wanted to close up. You feel me? Get in touch with me. As far as if you wanted to get a hold of one of these, I can send you a PDF digital form of the Bumblebee Fitness, the no equipment, no problem, which was developed during the pandemic because he understood that a lot of us was gonna be inside, and you know we need to still fight uh, our health and wellness. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'll drop my cash app. I can give it to y'all personally. I'm in charge directly of the funds generated to support. You feel me, Muhammad Ali. You feel me? So
Yeah.
you can
So,
contact me. You can
right,
put my cash. Yeah.
if you could, after this video is posted on YouTube, come back to the comment section and put in the link or the cash out for people to be able to help support you on that. So that once you put it into the comment section, it will be there eternally for people to be able to have access to it.
Yes, sir. One more thing in closing, you know what I'm saying? I want people to to support, you know what I'm saying, the nationwide, the Break the Lock nationwide prison program. You know, the book drives. You feel me? The Break the Lock it was a continued effort that came. We've been doing the Break the Lock, but the book drive in particular was an effort that was crafted out of the black coalition that was developed out of the Tulsa, Oklahoma formation and the Mississippi Devil's Punch Bowl formation. A lot of people do the formation and the armed demonstrations and fail to continue the organization after the mobilization. And then it kind of makes it to where that specific event has small breath. We need to keep that fire going. We can't look at that as an isolated event. Outside of those events, there have been gang truces. There have been, man, there's so many things that came from those missions that people are underestimating because people are anticipating other things, more. I guess I don't know what they're anticipating, but whatever it is, the extremes that some people urge to see, it will not be successful without mobilizing and organizing the community support. You feel me?
Black,
Because
Black Power.
whatever happens, whether it be a Micah X, whether it be a, you know what I'm saying, the media will be able to demonize them to the public to where anything that we do is going to look bad. So we need to have a constant uh, propaganda effort to raise the consciousness and to also show our victories. You know what I'm saying? It was the Book of Khalid was one of the books that was distributed on the Break the Lock nationwide prison program. You know what I'm saying? So just Google that in order to support that. The Black Riders type of the Black Cash App Black Riders, all caps Black Riders. I put that in the link as well. Yeah, please support the Break the Lock nationwide books to prison program. Black power and all power to the people.
Black Power, all power to the people, brother. We thank you, comrade.
Yes, sir. Salute.
Salute. Brother Rashawn, man, I'm sorry, man. Brother Afi ate up all your time, man.
You good,
No, I'm
brother.
just messing with you, man. We got time, brother. Go ahead and close us out, man. What do we need to do to show continued support for our brothers that are locked behind enemy lines?
I'm gonna make it real quick, but I'm gonna make it simple and to the point. Whether people are into an organization or not, just by sending funds and helping our political prisoners, man, you are doing the work, because any dollar amount that you sent is helping our comrades. We got to help them at all costs. I want to say this in closing for all the new members, whatever organization you join. It don't have to be Huey P, don't have to be Black Riders, don't have to be NOR, don't have to be Anubis, none of that. If you join anyone, ask yourself why you joining. You got to also keep in mind and be conscious that trouble may follow you. And it's not promised that if you're in this movement that you're going to always be safe. I always tell my comrades the truth. I will always keep y'all safe as much as possible. But you got to understand something. There's a price to come with this. So with our political prisoners that's locked up, they paid the price. So at least we can do is send our funds to help them out. They paid their price, and they paying their price still. You got some that's been in there over 50 years up until now, still paying the price. And the least we can do is support our brothers and sisters. We got to understand how they feel being locked up in the dungeons, man. And sometimes it plays on your emotions sometimes. We don't want our brothers and sisters in that dungeon, man, like that. I mean, we at home after we get through with an event, we do a gun march, and we back home, we congregate, we eat, we have nice meals, we sleep in our nice beds, we get to hug our family. They don't get to do that. And so it would also be, a powerful thing if we can write our comrades. So you don't have to always get involved with an organization, but if you do, you got to remember there's a price to pay. Freedom is not free. It's not free. It's going to cost you something. But all I can say is, man, let's support the comrades, man, any way, shape, or form, and let's write them. Let's encourage them, because we don't know what they're thinking about at night when they lay their head down. With that being said, man, I appreciate you, Babu, General Taco. I appreciate everybody in every organization that's putting the work in, man. We need each other. This ain't about one organization. This is about everybody that's putting that work in. So I say that I'm proud of everyone that's putting that work in. Let's continue to do the work. And that's it, man. And I'll see y'all when I see y'all.
Black Power, I appreciate you much, Commander.
Black Power.
General Taco, can you close us out?
Black Power, man. This was a powerful show. We done set a new precedent on pushing the line to free all political prisoners. It's been an honor to serve on the battlefield with you, sir. General Babu, you have been highly supportive of the unification of all Panther formations. Black Power. Black Power to Malik Shabazz, who has been pushing for unity. Black Power to Crystal Muhammad, who has been pushing for unity. Black Power to Grandmaster Jay, who has been pushing for unity. We've had different fallouts, but we've unified at the most critical point. We understand that we must unite based on what we have in common. We believe in Black liberation. We believe in armed self-defense. We wear BDU paramilitary uniforms. We all stomp in them big black boots. We must focus more so and put emphasis on what we have in common. Black Power to Brother Amun, who has been pushing for unity. Black Power to Brother Talib, who has been pushing for unity. Black Power to Brother Yakanan, who has been pushing for unity. Black Power to Dr. Ali, who has been pushing for unity. Black Power to King Rick, who has been pushing for unity. Black power to all the Panther leaders. Black power to Sean Patterson, who has been pushing for unity. Black power to Aki Buck, who has been pushing for unity. All the leaders I've worked directly with at some point or another. We have soldiered together in meetings on the battlefield. And we must all look at one of the greatest accomplishments that we have brought to the history of racist America. Never before have almost 1,000 people formulated in the streets and marched openly on with choppers. Grandmaster Jay was one of the first to stand up on a major level. And after he was raided and targeted and became a political prisoner, other Panther formation who was rolling with him and unified with him during his campaign for justice for Breonna Taylor, we came together and pushed the Tulsa, Oklahoma mission, Black Wall Street, where hundreds of our people was bombed 100 years ago and killed based on racist white supremacy. And we went down there marching almost 1,000 soldiers with choppers. I was in the back of the line, amazed at the power, the audacity of our people. We must look into the history of the Panther Party, and we must understand they have never marched in such a gigantic display of strength. Even though we honor them, we hold their lessons close to our heart and our souls and our minds. We have transcended and brought about an elevated, colossal Black Power movement that is dedicated to the absolute liberation and salvation of the Black nation. We must keep unifying. We must stop slandering each other on social media. We must call each other, develop conflict resolution and mediation. If we want these street tribes to unite, we first must unite as Black Panthers, as Black militias who pushing for armed self-defense and the human right, the God-given right for armed self-defense that we must push to elevate all levels. We must deal with the miseducation in the schools. We must deal with the street tribe. We must clean up our community and teach them to clean up, wake up, and stand up against white supremacy and capitalism. This is what we must do as a people. We must bring our strength together and weigh in on the demons. As George Jackson taught us, he says Black people have a monumental role in world history. We are on the inside of the monster. America considers itself to be the pigs of the planet, the protectors of the so-called free world, which is a bunch of lies. Their democracy is nothing but hypocrisy. So it's up to us to recognize the police state, the fascist state, the totalitarian state that is trying to bring about our genocide. We are on the inside. George Jackson taught us we are the ones who can get at the monster's heart without subjecting the world to nuclear fire. To nuclear fire. Why? We see the development of World War III going on right before our eyes. Hell no, we ain't siding with Russia. Hell no, we ain't siding with the fascist state. We need to side with ourselves. And while the idiots is battling each other, we take advantage and bring about the absolute liberation and salvation of the Black nation with that Black power like dough all day, every day, even on a Sunday. That's what we pushing, because it's death to white supremacy, death to capitalism, death to imperialism, and death to fascism. Black power and all power to the people.
Black power, brother Wolverine Shakur, taking out all capitalists. So in closing, let's support Brother Shango of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. Let's support Brother Rasheen, Brother Hannibal of the New Black Panther Party. Let's support Brother Rakim Balagoon of Guerrilla Mainframe. Never forget the sacrifices of Brother Mumia. We have to be responsible for supporting our political prisoners and our brothers that are locked up behind enemy lines. When you join these organizations and you get out and do the work, and if you're unfortunate to be one of those who were targeted, we can't forget about our people, man. We can't forget about those who made the ultimate sacrifices. We can't forget about the Christopher Dorners. We can't forget about the Maxes. These men, these sisters, some of these women, we can't forget about our strong women. They are the standards, man. They are the standards for us. We can't forget about the work of Sojourner the Truth. We can't forget about the work of Sister Harriet Tubman, man. But I appreciate everybody that logged on today. We're going to go to the comment sections and we're going to put these cash apps in there. This money is going directly to these comrades. There is no third party. So don't worry about making your donations and don't be worried about if it's going to wind up in the pockets of somebody else. Nobody trying to line our pockets, man. This movement is strictly about our brothers that are behind enemy lines. This movement is strictly about our sisters that are being held captive behind enemy lines. So again, support Brother Rakim, support Brother Hannibal, support Brother Shango. Brother Matulu is free. All praises is due to the Most High. We have to show support for those who show support for us. So, Brother Babu Mawali, man, thank you for logging on to Truth to Power War Room, brother, because we are at war. We forgot to mention in those appreciations, we forgot to mention Brother Nick Bezel, Gun Club, has been doing phenomenal work, man. So many people out there doing work, but we don't want to leave our comrade out of that. Brother Amun, Takala, M Hotel. Appreciate everything you comrades have done. The Black Riders Liberation Party, man, you guys are up on your political education like no other faction of the Black Liberation Movement, man. I really appreciate you guys. So, engineer, you can go ahead and close us out. Black power, all power to the people.